the Link to Past does wrong. Like the Link to Past community is just wrong, flat out. Yeah, and then I started streaming on my main account, and it just like all went downhill. Ideally, a fantastic stream for me is playing 10 hours of A Link to Past. Nobody talking.
All right, hey, welcome for coming on the podcast. I don't know what I should call you today, WQ or Ollie. I don't know how fully you've rebranded, but thanks for coming on.
Yeah, you might as well just call me WQ because that's how I refer to myself, and it feels a little bit more natural. My real name is Oliver, so it's easier for me to like Ollie works, but it's a little odd. I think I might actually change my name too, so I think WQ is safer.
All right, well, thanks for coming on, WQ. I think probably everyone who listens to this podcast will have some good idea of who you are. You were the world record holder for a long time, a pretty legendary figure in Link to the Past speedrunning. You've had a lot of world records across various categories. I take it from your recent streams that you're sort of running the gauntlet of ROM hacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I actually I only had record NMG for 2 years, and I was completely inactive for those 2 years. I didn't even play the game once, which is funny. But yeah, I really got into ROM hacks after that happened. I got into ROM hacks and like glitch categories, and I thought it was a lot of fun. So whenever I want to play Link to the Past, but I don't have nothing to do, I just start grinding out ROM hacks.
Yeah, are you like trying to do all of them on the leaderboards or something like that? I meant to look this up before this call, but I forgot.
Yeah, ideally, actually, I get every ROM hack world record, like every ROM hack, because there's only like what 50 ROM hacks, 40 ROM hacks. Like there's not that many, and most of them there's a run of, so you just need to do like 2 runs. So yeah, ideally every run, every ROM hack, but there's like 9 on the leaderboards, I think. Or there's 11, but 2 of them are like PC browser, and I don't really count those.
Oh,
So
weird.
there's 9 ROM hacks. So the goal is to get the record in all those. I have most of them, but I don't know. Did you ever play Gerudo Exile?
I played most of Gerudo Exile. I didn't finish it.
Okay, yeah, that game looks hard.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's pretty difficult. So that one's gonna take a while. But it's just, and then the vanilla randomizer, which I'm pretty sure you're familiar with, which I just started doing today. And I think I can get the record in that one. However, it's actually pretty good. So that one's gonna take longer. But then yeah, outside of that, school starts in a month for me, so it's kind of a time to burn.
So you're just doing this while classes are out?
Yeah, that's kind of the goal. Like realistically, playing this game during school is bad because I play it so much. Like I did 10 hours today, I did 10 hours yesterday. It's just not smart to do that with like classes and whatnot.
Yeah,
but,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Kind of a summer only hobby.
When did you start playing A Link to the Past?
So I started playing seriously in like late 2019, but I actually learned the run and was like lurking in the community a long time before that, like 2014 or something.
No way, really?
Yeah, I was actually lurking your like old streams where you were like playing on your parents in your bed in your parents' house, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Did you had like no account? Like, did you have an account? Did you type chat at all?
I wasn't chatter, no. Pure
Oh
lurker.
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I never really knew you. The first time I ever met you, actually, you messaged me on Discord something about getting my speedruns onto the leaderboards, because I've always had an issue with the leaderboards.
Oh no, I didn't want them on the leaderboard. I mean, I think it would be cool to have your runs on the leaderboards, but I just wanted them for my own.
Oh, is that it? Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to check them out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I remember. And I had no idea who you were. In fact, I don't know anybody because, when randomizer became a thing, a lot of new people joined the community.
Yeah.
As I'm sure you know. And then I never, that's kind of when I stopped playing. It's like 2018, 2019. And I was like totally removed from the community at that point. So all these new people, I have like no idea who they are. I see your guys' names everywhere, but I frankly have no clue who any of you are. So I always figured you were just part of the randomizer push. But yeah, I didn't know you were lurking since like forever. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually think it's kind of, I remember, I don't know if you would remember this, but I remember watching a stream a long time ago, and for some reason it's really stuck with me. You were sort of railing against people talking about mindset and speedrunning.
Oh yeah, I always do that. Yeah.
You're like, you just press the buttons, man.
Yeah. No, that's like a that's one of my things. I'm always complaining about. I used to do that more. I haven't been doing that as much the past like Well, I haven't really been streaming since like 2020, but I haven't really been doing that since like, yeah, like 2020, 2019. I kind of slowed down on it just because I don't know. I kind of stopped playing video games. I like started doing other stuff in life. And yeah, I moved out of my mom's house. I mean, that was like such a staple of my dream in life for so many years, which is kind of embarrassing, like in hindsight. But it's just it's when I started playing A Link to the Past, it was always about playing the game. It was like nothing but play the game. Like nothing mattered except playing the game. And so as I got older, because I started playing when I was 20, and as I got older, like I continued to play the game, and like I would get older, and everything around me would like was stay the same. And so like 2013, 2014, 2015, I mean even 2016, 2017, that's when I started to be like, okay, this is weird. But yeah, I just got older and older, and then nothing in my life changed. I mean, nothing changed. Like all I did was play the game. So I forgot why I brought that up, but the point is that like, yeah, it was just that's just how it was. That's just how it was back in the day when I started speedrunning. I actually lurked in the speedrunning community for a while too before I ever did a run. Not like you, but I started watching in January in 2013, and then the first time I streamed was in October. So I spent like a year just lurking,
Yeah.
and then I started doing runs.
So was that's a good segue to your history with the sport or the game itself. Was Link to the Past your first speedrun? Was that the first speedrun you watched and tried to play?
No, the first run I ever watched was Siglemic playing Mario 64, and this was a year prior
Gotcha.
in like summer. He did this 2012. He did this like every day of September or every day of August. He was doing runs on Twitch, and I had a Twitch account. They played League of Legends, and I love League of Legends, the esports. So I would watch that all day, and then somehow I stumbled upon Sig, and his I was just blown away by his streams. I thought they were so cool, and so somebody mentioned AGDQ, and I was like, okay, so I watched that in 2013. And my favorite game, especially my favorite speed run, was A Link to the Past. Like no question, right? It's like the best speed run. And back then, the biggest speed runs were Mario 64, A Link to the Past, and like Ocarina of Time. Like those were the three biggest speed
Yeah.
runs. Yeah, so it was like a no brainer. So I started. I didn't play the game though. I started watching the game, and then I started playing the game. Eventually, I started playing the game, and then it's funny. I was actually trying to get world record like dry, like in one, like do it offline and then just post a run. You know what I mean? Yeah, everybody like everybody. What's the word for people in speedrunning who are like not creepy, but they're like people who in speedrunning who they practice too much and they don't socialize enough.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I was one of those guys. So I wanted to get world record dry, and then Crystal got a 2 minute PB, and I just gave up. I was like, okay, it's not realistic. And then over the summer, there was a few other runners that were like outpacing me because like I practiced, but not every day. And I don't know if you know like Mike the Viewer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and MK still hangs out, but yeah,
MK
they were
being
outpacing me.
Mistrak?
MK streaming.
MK stream. Oh, I don't know that person.
MK Streaming Services. That was his old name. He goes by MK Streams now, but yeah, they
Okay.
were both outpacing me by quite a bit, and I didn't like it, so I started streaming. That's why I started streaming, and it's weird. I've always been better on alt accounts. Like I've never functioned well on my main account on anything, and like I so I
Interesting.
streamed under an alt account for like a month and a half. Did you
Huh.
know that?
No.
No, most people don't. Yeah,
What's
okay.
the
I
alt
streamed
account?
on Save Remu.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a joke from SGDQ 2013.
Oh, okay.
It's like a meme. I just thought it was funny. So I took that name, but so that was my name for like a month and a half, and everybody loved me. Like I like fit in really well, and everyone loved me. And then yeah, and then I started streaming on my main account, and it just like all went downhill. It just like all collapsed. Yeah, it all collapsed after I started streaming my main account, and like I don't know why. I do think part of it was my name, but a lot of it was like just my attitude and my approach, and like I was a little bit too focused on the game and not focused on like the community aspect, and like it just there was a weird rift between me and other runners of the game. It's just weird. When I was on Save Remu, same person, like there was that rift wasn't there. So then but I started streaming on my main account, and then I like only used my main account, and that weird tension that was developed from that in like October Well, I mean, in like November, December, it never really went away. I think it's always been there, and it just like every 6 months or every year, anytime anything happens, it just that divide like grows or becomes more solidified. And then you probably started watching me in 2014,
Probably.
which actually that was a pretty good year for like the past 2014 and 2015. Like I feel like things were mending a little bit because those 2 years, a lot of runners started like Blunt and Downtime Death. He started and Joe D'Amelio. A lot of people started back then.
Yeah.
Who yeah. So they weren't 2013 people. So I think there was like a new community growing.
Yeah.
But yeah, things all went to hell a few months later, or a few years later. Things all went to hell again, and at some point, I just left the community. I was just like, I can't, it's just not gonna work. Of course, I don't know. Like I'm known, or I was known for like flaming the like the past community.
Yeah.
That was always something I was known for, right?
Yeah.
But I've kind of slowed down on that because I changed a lot in the past few years, and I don't think flaming the community is helping. Right? I don't think it's necessarily right. Yeah, I was always flaming. So that's kind of like a brief history of me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
No, that's interesting. I'm gonna want to dig into a bunch of those things in a minute. But first, I have to ask: well, I don't know if you still play League, but do you have this alt account thing on League also?
Yeah, I had like 20. Actually, it's so funny. You have to check my Twitter, but I was banned in Zelda's stream.
Oh, really?
I've been banned in Zelda's stream for like 7 years or something. Forever, right? Or maybe like eight
I thought you
years.
were in Zelda stream like a week ago.
Well, I got unbanned,
Oh,
but
okay.
I was banned. Well, so my account wasn't banned, but one of my alt accounts was
Oh,
banned.
oh,
And
wow.
I was like, well, I don't know. I don't even know when it got banned. I mean, this is like 8 years ago.
Weird.
So I was like 9 years ago or something. I was like, okay, let me try to get that account unbanned. So you can email Twitch and they'll send you a list of accounts associated with your email.
Hmm.
So I sent them a list, and it's like a list of like 20 accounts, and some I remember and some I don't. I'm like, oh, so I had to go through. So I asked him, and he told me one of the accounts. I was like, okay, so I got that account. I logged in, so I got unbanned in that account. So yeah, I'm actually unbanned in the stream, but yeah, I have like so many alt accounts, and I had a bunch in League too. Like a lot of those accounts were from League of Legends,
Yeah.
which I was just a troll. I was a troll in that game. I
Yeah.
was a troll in the League of the Past community, but like for some reason, there was a bunch of negative energy in me in a League of the Past, and it came out through playing the game. Where in League of Legends, I was just a troll. Like it was just 100% trolling. So
Interesting. So it's just a troll.
yeah, right.
Because I was wondering if it's like a ladder anxiety thing. You know what I mean by ladder anxiety?
Like, what do you mean? Like,
So a lot of people in games that have like a ladder, like a ranked matchmaking
yeah,
mode, they get like anxious about joining ranked. And some people will create alts to play ranked on because they're like,
yeah,
oh well, it doesn't matter if I derank out of platinum on my alt because like it's not my
yeah.
main account or whatever. I was wondering if you have that kind of thing going on and that's why you're doing
I did
alts.
that quite a bit. I mean, it wasn't like a really serious problem, but I mean that happened all the time. Yeah, I think there was some kind of anxiety. I think there was, part of me thinks I had just had like a lot of mental problems.
Yeah.
Like growing up, I had a few screws loose, and for some reason, playing the Link to the Past, like because it's connected to my childhood. Yeah, for some reason, I think it was like therapeutic, and it would like help me kind of process a lot of the stuff. And so I think what happened was because of that, like there was really no filter. There was no filter, and there was no like social etiquette. The social etiquette was gone. So I just was like totally unhinged. And I mean, frankly, a lot of the playing a League of the Past, especially way back in the day, it was totally unhinged. I don't know how much of my streams you remember, like the practice streams and whatnot, but yeah, it was just like a complete unhinged. So a lot of that stuff was not healthy, and like
Yeah.
yeah, who knows? I mean, who knows, right? I feel better. I'm happier. So
That's good. Yeah, I it sounds like you had a very unhealthy relationship with the game for a
yeah, it was
while.
yeah, like classically you would call it like super unhealthy. I mean,
Yeah, because it sounded like it was holding you back from your real life.
it was weird. Well, I don't know, like because I think what happened is I had some degree of yeah mental health issues, and like I couldn't adapt or like connect to the real world. And it felt for some reason my brain wanted to just play like the past a bunch. Now I have an obsessive type brain. I love leaderboards. I love world record grind. So
Yeah.
to me it's easy. This game is so good for speedrunning. To me it was easy to just grind the game and it would like solve my problems kind of. So yeah, I just loved grinding the game. That's like all I did, and I was horrible at it for like 4 years. I mean, I think yeah, till 2017, I think I was like really bad at the game. I just had no concept of like movement,
Hmm.
um, consistency type stuff, and like connecting runs, building runs. I had just had no concept of any of that stuff, and then things really changed in 2017, and my gameplay like skyrocketed. And
Interesting.
ever since then, it's been kind of good. I mean, it's been good ever since then. It has. I don't play crazy good too often, but it's been good. I honestly feel like I play good in general since that time period.
What do you think happened then?
I have this whole like natural gameplay thing. I'm sure you've heard of that.
I've heard you use that phrase.
Well, yeah, I mean, it connects to what you were saying earlier, like when you were saying how I used to talk about like mindset a lot, and I like mentality is junk, and I used to say a lot of things like that. So what I started doing was I started getting a little bit smarter about what I was saying. Like some of the things I was saying were true, but some were untrue, and some did have reasons. So I just started getting smarter about that, and then yeah, I created this thing called natural gameplay, which is like it's an attempt at gameplay optimization from a a real time perspective, right? It's an attempt at like real time gameplay optimization, which what that means is like you're not looking at frame counters anymore. You're not looking at you can't do things multiple times. You're not looking at replays. So you pretty much just what you have in front of you. It's like how do you optimize that? Like if you do a ROM hack dry, or if you do a ROM hack blind, people without playing it before, how do you optimize that necessarily? Or if you do like 2 or 3 runs in a row,
Hmm.
how do you get optimal movement? So I started thinking more critically about that. Because I used to play Super Smash Brothers Melee a lot.
Oh wow. Me too. I was an old melee guy.
You were?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Where are you from then?
I'm from Virginia.
Okay. Did you play at Virginia?
Yeah.
Okay, I never played when I originally started. I was in middle school, so I didn't play at tournaments. But
Hmm.
we did learn how to wave dash, which is funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then I played in Oregon,
Yeah.
so everybody in Oregon's bad. Although nowadays I guess there's some good players, but
Wasn't like
yeah, we were
Silent Wolf
horrible.
from Oregon?
No, he's from Washington. He's
Oh,
from yeah, Seattle. But he like I mean, there's a lot of spillover
yeah,
because
yeah,
like Oregon and Washington were kind of linked.
yeah,
It's kind of the same scene. But yeah, he speedruns now, which is cool.
yeah.
I remember when I was hanging out with my Smash friends, and I was like, "Oh wow, Silent Wolf followed me on Twitter," and they didn't remark or say anything about that. But I think in hindsight they thought it was cool. But I don't know if he still follows me because I think he deleted his Twitter actually.
Good for him.
But yeah, I don't know. I that was in 2016 or something. So it was like it's a different era, but yeah, good times. But oh yeah, so you used to play Smash, and in Smash you don't have like you can't frame count a room. Like
Yeah.
in Link to the Past, one of the most critical things I think that players do incorrectly that is holding them back is they frame count a room from a tool assisted engine or a tool assisted perspective, and then they determine value based on what the tool assisted perspective says. I think that's the biggest mistake people make in Link to the Past. It doesn't
Hmm.
make any sense. It doesn't translate to a run. Most runs don't function like that. Practice barely functions like a task, and then runs function even different for practice. So it's like people who do that are really nerfing themselves. And I know everyone does it. Like I do it too. I used to do that actually when the practice hack first came out. And it was so when it first came out, it was just the Ruby counter. And
Yeah.
the Ruby counter was just running it constantly. And you would just have to like add it up or like try to get from screen A to screen B. And the Ruby counter be lower. Did you ever because if you weren't active at the time, but you were like lurking, did you ever see that?
I'm familiar with that. I never used that
Oh
one,
yeah.
but I'm familiar
That
with
was
it. I've seen it.
yeah, that was a classic. Yeah, so that's what everybody did. And then eventually they just had it so when you did a room, it would tell you the frame count.
Yeah.
So then that was that was revolutionary. But I did what everybody else did. I had the same mistake where it's like you just frame count in every room, try to get the fastest time in every room, and then hope you get better at the game. But it's not really like that doesn't really make much sense if you're trying to actually like hash out real time the fastest real time way to do a screen, right? It doesn't make much sense. So that was I was always critical of that.
Hmm.
Well, I guess in 2017 onwards, I was always really critical of that. And that's more like what I was talking about with like gameplay optimization. Like in order to optimize gameplay like that, you have to be more creative. You have to think, and you have to like look what happens in real. Look what actually happens in real time. And it's similar in Melee. It's really similar in gameplay optimization in Melee, where like you don't have frame counters, you barely have replays, you don't really have like the practice engine's not that. It's not a 1-to-1 with what happens in the game. It's barely a 1-to-1. Um, so you have to like critically think and like what's going to happen in a game, what is good, where is value. Like in Link to Past, I think it's easy because the game is so basic. But like, where is value in Link to Past? Like, what gives value? What has value? And it's not just frame counter. It's obviously not just the frame counter. So that was like the big realization. That's why I got like so much better. But
That's interesting. So I've always been a room grind kind of guy. So I know a lot of people don't like room grinds, and I think that this sort of I think that a mistake that I see people making is they'll grind a room and they'll try to get like the fastest time on Strat Hub, and it'll be like they're
yeah,
trying too hard. It's
yeah,
something they can't actually do in
yeah,
runs, right? Whatever.
yeah.
And like that's a pretty easy mistake to make, and I've never
Right.
really fallen into that. I guess like it's fun to try to get the top times or whatever, but I find it really valuable as a way to like practice a strat that I can actually do in runs and make sure that I'm doing it right or like get a lot of reps in at it or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's worked really well for me. I know a lot of people like to do like longer segment practice, like a whole dungeon or like a series, like a
Yeah.
minute and a half or whatever, stuff like that. So I don't know. I guess how do you practice now, or what? How did it change your practice routine when you sort of came up with these ideas?
Yeah. At first, I was just doing. So at first, I abandoned like room times. That was like the first thing I did. Is like this is just useless. And then I started looking at like even averages. I think are pretty useless because like that's not an average doesn't happen in a run. Like in a high, especially if you're under a lot of adrenaline, like you play really well. Like your averages don't matter. You're gonna get good times, or like you're gonna get variable times. So
Yeah.
you need to stop looking at like even averages are useless. Remember Jaden? He originally, and this was in 2013. He actually did like game saver practice, like safe state practice, but he had a success counter. Like if he did a room in his mind that was correct, he would do one for like it would be a green button, and then if it's bad, it'd be a red button. And the goal was to get like a 90% success rate or whatever. Do it 100 times in a row successfully. That was like the goal for everybody. That was another thing I was like really critical of because it just doesn't translate to a run. Like you need to translate from a run, and really what you should do is take a run and then work backwards. Like, what's the absolute closest thing you can do to a run that you can actually like practice on repeat? Because you can't do a run on repeat.
Right.
Like, like if Ganon's Tower sucks, doing everything up to Ganon's Tower is not helping. So yeah, like nowadays, because what I think is doing a segment RTA, not quite. It's not quite segment RTA because I think segment RTA itself is like it can be completely useless. But I think if you're smart about it, I think it's like really helpful. I think it's really helpful. And I think that's true too. If you look at the Mario 64 community and a lot of the explosion of time save they've had in the Japanese community, specifically in 120 star, in the past like 2 or 3 years, a lot of that is from segment RTA. They
Hmm.
do a lot of segment RTA, and Green Suigi, like he's like the leading guy of all this. He does something called streaks, which is you do a star, or ideally you do a section, and you need to do it 5 times under a certain time range, right?
Hmm.
That's what he calls it, a streak. And like he's so good at that game, everybody just kind of like jumped on it too. I think he's good at that game because his like genetically, like his reflexes, his ability to focus, his ability to concentrate is like top tier. So like
Yeah.
he's gaining frames. Other people don't have access to those frames. I don't think the streaks are that important, but it's the same idea where it's like this is really close to a run. This is like really really close to a run. Like in a top level run, like in a Link to the Past, you don't need a gold Ganon's Tower. You need like a really good Ganon's Tower.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You need a Ganon's Tower that's clean and doesn't have any errors. And like that's what I mean. You need a 1 cycle land mow. You need or a very fast 2 cycle. Yeah,
Right.
right. You need a 3 cycle Aga 2. Like you don't need a 2 cycle Aga 2 on a PB pace run. Like you don't want that. So it's like you need to get as close to that as possible. So I think the streaks kind of resemble that. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm into. And then the other one is like yeah, just critical thinking, like critical thinking about a run. Like so Zelna, Zelna, what he does is he just goes like I don't know, you'll have to ask him. But in my opinion, what he does is he basically just does the safest possible thing. And then once he's mastered that, he considers leveling it up. Like he if he can't do something, he just doesn't do it. You know. So I think that's
Yeah.
another good approach too.
I
Oh,
think
sorry. Were
that
you?
I think that's basically the way to do it. I don't necessarily always do that myself because I think doing like super epic elite strats is like fun. Like I just like going for stuff. But like I think from a pure getting better at the game perspective, just like not having huge catastrophes is really all you're doing.
Does you have your PB is like a 123
Yeah,
53 or
53.
58?
Yeah,
Okay, awesome. When did you get that?
pretty recently, back in
Okay,
like
cool.
March or something.
Do you feel like you leveled up at all in the past like year or 2 years or like?
Yeah, it was kind of weird. So I was like pretty plateaued at like mid 124 level for kind of a long
Uh-huh.
time, and then I sort of like really committed to the 123 grind. I had like been on and off
Oh,
playing, but I like really committed to it, and I like wasn't really making any progress. But you know, I was sort of trusting the process and just doing a bunch of runs or whatever. And
yeah.
then over the course of like 2 weeks, I got like two 15-second PBs, and like I leveled up in
Oh yeah.
like so much, like all at once. Like
Yeah.
all everything finally clicked at once or something. I don't know. It's kind of weird. And then I sort of stopped because you know, like I had just been grinding for a while, and I hit my
Yeah.
milestone or whatever. And so I don't know. I didn't play enough to really get all the benefit out of the level up, but I
Yeah,
definitely
I feel
did
like
feel
you
like I
could get
leveled up.
a little bit lower.
Yeah, I think so. But
That's cool. Well, um yeah, I'm just curious because, like, the meta game of League of Pass is so different nowadays. Like, back in the day, and I mean, you were around back then, so you kind of know this too. But like, basically, we had no concept of frames. Like, nobody had any concept of like frames or frame counting except Zelna. And I think he had the concept of this because he used to play Marble Blast, and he
Marble
was very
Blast,
good
yeah,
at that game. Yeah, he's
yeah,
very good at that game. And I think that game's it's an IL grind game. Like
yeah,
you're basically grinding like yeah, little, short screens. You're grinding, 53 seconds, and then you save, 10 frames. Like he was used to this. He was very adjusted to this. So I think he was like kind of ready for that. But nobody else in the community really had any concept of that. Jaden kind of had a concept of that because he would do a lot of emulator stuff, like a lot of emulator stuff. But like if you looked at Jaden's runs, he wasn't. They weren't translating run. They weren't translating into runs. He was doing overly risky stuff in runs, like everywhere. A lot of his movement was actually just flawed. Like he was like trying to do task stuff, but in the movement, you don't want to do task stuff. You want to do like a few levels under task, so that it's like hit that sweet spot where it's really fast, but it's really easy and it's just barely not perfect. It's like a sweet spot you want to hit, right? So he wasn't doing that at all. Crystal basically doesn't count because Crystal's probably a tasser, which which is great, but it's like this isn't real time data. So like I think Zelda was really good at it, but nobody else had any concept. And then yeah, Pincus made the practice hack, and then it started to bleed in like 2016 to 2018. That's when people really started to like really level up. It's interesting. I only ever used the practice hack, I think in 2018, which is
really.
funny because yeah, isn't that wild? Most of my practice on the practice hack was in like 2018. I think I did some in 2017, but I never had a flash card, so I just never used it. And
Oh
then
yeah.
I did briefly have a flash card. I lost it at a marathon in Seattle, but I
Oh,
think
that
somebody
sucks.
stole it. Yeah, I think somebody took it, which is lame. Um, but even if you have a flash card, like it doesn't mean you're automatically figuring out how to play the game properly. Like you do things wrong, or yeah, you just do room times and then call it a day. You don't really understand the most obvious one for me was like doors. Walking into doors is weird
Yeah,
because the ideally, and I've talked about this like a million times, but if you walk into a door straight head, it's like perfect, right? And then if you're anywhere off like one specific pixel, and you can't always hit that pixel because of how Link moves, sometimes you can't even hit that pixel. So like it's not realistic to hit that pixel. Like that doesn't make any sense. So like, well, what's the best pixel to hit then? Like where do you actually aim? And if you aim for that middle pixel in the doorway, it's not even necessarily optimal because every pixel you go every pixel like you overshoot on a door, you have to nudge backwards,
yeah,
and it's all nudge frames, so they're really slow. So like you end up losing like 3 times as many frames if you overshoot a door than if you undershoot a door. So what happens is undershooting doors saves like it saves like 5 or 10 seconds over the whole run.
yeah,
If you do it every that's huge. That's huge.
yeah.
And Yeah, that just comes from thinking. Like that's just a thinking thing. Like there is a so that's like that was something I was always really critical of. I don't remember when the practice hack came out, but like the first few years, everybody was doing room times. And there's a few guys, and I won't mention their names, but they were just the guys that did room times, and they were really good at room times, and they had all these really good room times, and that's their thing. But they just never translated to runs, and their excuse was always they don't do enough runs or whatever. But my excuse was that they don't have their gameplay is not built for real time runs. Like it's going to perform poorly, and
Yeah.
it's not optimal. I mean, it's suboptimal gameplay because that's just how it works. So I was always like really critical of that, which it didn't help my like status in the Link to Pass community because like I think I was too mean about it. I don't think I was like nice enough about it, or like I should have tried to help people more instead of like flaming people. I wasn't flaming them, but I wasn't nice about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Um, yeah, shoot. I mean, what else is there to say about like the practice hack? And it just completely changed like the past. And like nowadays, especially with randomizer, it's weird. People don't even really grind to like the past. Do you play randomizer by chance?
Some. Not a whole lot, but yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so you're not like a hardcore rando because there's a lot of people that they mainly play rando and then they like occasionally play NMG. And so like back in the day, you would only try to find like you go to the link to path directory and like you were lucky if somebody was streaming, and if they were like 50% of them were speedrunning, which was really fun to watch. So it was like this is our own scene was like totally. I know we felt like ownership over the game. I guess like ownership over the directory. There's no ownership right now. Like
Yeah.
90% of the streams, yeah, they're all randomizer streams.
Yeah.
Like 90 to 100% of them. And it's kind of annoying because I even if you do find somebody playing NMG, it's like they don't really care about it. They're really just doing it, why not? Like they don't really care, they're really a randomizer runner or like so yeah, I don't know. It's just the scene doesn't feel like do you feel that at all? Like it just feels like less dead or like not as personal.
Well, I wasn't really active in the community before Rando, so I don't have a lot to compare it
Uh,
to. But I do, yeah. I mean, I feel like my home base is the speedrunning community,
Oh, cool.
and it's a bummer that Rando it dominates. Like
Oh, really?
optically, right?
I'm
So
guessing you're in the oh sorry if I'm interrupting.
no, go
I
ahead.
talk a lot, so
Yeah, no, it's great. It's
um
your episode.
you're in the Link to Pass Discord, right?
Yeah.
Is it like how is it in there? Because I haven't been in that Discord in a long time.
Well, right now there was a screaming fight today, so I guess not great today.
Oh, really?
It's like not super active these days. There's
Huh.
definitely conversation in there. People bring stuff up. Mostly the people who are chatting are like less enfranchised players who have like some questions. Maybe they're new to the game or they just like only pop in here and there and they like whatever. Whereas like a lot of the discussions happen in other discords, like people's friend group discords.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So it's not like a super central hub. Like if you have
Right.
something to ask about, there are definitely people who will answer you, and there are conversations that go on in there. But it's not like continuously active. It's not like super
Yeah.
poppin'.
It's a shame for I think like the newer Link to Pass. Like you're a newer Link to Pass runner. I mean, you're not new. You've
Kinda.
been here for like 5 years, but I think you're in like the later generations. And you're active too. Like you care about the game, you're active.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame for like newer runners. There's just really no rich culture. Like there was such rich culture back then, even though it was so dead and small. We had like a really rich scene, and it's weird. The ROM hacking community, which I'm like openly right now calling to anybody watching to get into like the past ROM hacks because they're really good. They're a lot of fun. There's four new ALTTP ROM hackers, like people that are making these hacks. There's a new ROM hacking engine called Z which is like to make ROM hacks. It's really good, or it's really like, yeah, it's really good. And the guy who made it, Zarby, I'm sure you heard of Zarby. He actually made it. He's like actively updating it, actively looking for improvements. Like it's very active. The actual who's making these games, but the people playing them are just random casuals, which is good. That's the lifeblood of the game. But it's just like casual players, and then like me and like one other guy who's speedrunning them. Like not enough people are speedrunning these hacks, and there's a few really good ROM hacks coming out. But it kind of reminds me of old Link to the Past, where it's like there is kind of a centralized Discord. Now we have like I'm in 5 ROM hack discords, but, I know, right? But there's really, like, one primary discord, which is Letterbomb's discord, and then there's the Zelda IX discord. But, really, it's like Letterbomb's discord is, like, the primary ALTTP hacking discord. Everybody, we're not fighting, there's no arguments, there's, like, the scene isn't fractured into, like, random people's
Right.
discords.
It's not big enough to have sub communities yet.
Yeah, exactly, and it feels like old Link to Pass. I really like it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's actually kind of why I'm playing it so much because I did one of Letterbomb's ROM hacks like a few weeks ago, and it was fun. It was good. It was actually a really good hack, and I started to look into it. I got into his Discord, started talking to him more because I've always known Letterbomb, but I never really like understood what's going on. Yeah, like I was like you, I was just lurking.
Right.
I was like lurking in the ROM hack scene. I was never really a part of it. But, it's good. I'm really excited about it. Really excited about it. Like, I mean, I don't know about you, because so the first time I remember you, I thought you were trying to get my runs on the leaderboard. But no, you were asking to look at one of my old runs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the main reason I quit Link to Past NMG is because I don't agree with the rule set. And I've talked about this like forever. And actually, I think a lot of people agree with me. So I don't need to go into that too much, but I just don't agree with the rule set, and it frustrates me. And that's we don't have that in the ROM hacking community, which I think is fantastic. Actually, interestingly, we don't even have that in the randomizer community. Like the
Oh, that's
randomizer
not true.
community.
Rando is
Oh,
constantly arguing
really?
about rules. Oh, yeah.
Really? Like what? I'm curious.
Well, every few days, somebody starts up a fight about whether hovering should be banned. That's constant.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And just this past couple months, a couple tournaments launched with alternate rule sets, and that just really pissed everyone off.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
What rule sets? Like what specifically is different?
So there's two tournaments. There's the pilot spoiler tournament, which is a mode where you get the spoiler log, so you're not hunting for items, and like your friend reads you where the items are and puts the route together for you while you're executing and doing it. Super fun mode. Highly recommend.
Okay.
And so they made a rule where you have to collect a bow and a hook shot to beat the game, so you're not allowed to skip them entirely. You can still hover, but you're not allowed to totally skip the hookshot requirement, and you can still mimic clip, but you're not allowed to skip the bow requirement. And
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
the main tournament, which is one of the tournaments, just calls itself the main tournament, whatever. Had a somewhat similar rule set that went a little bit farther in banning hovering and mimic clip, but then they walked it back. Everybody started such a riot that they actually ended up walking it back and are using the default rule set.
Okay, so there is a lot of complaints about rules.
Yeah.
But is icebreaker like universally allowed?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Interesting. It's weird that icebreaker is so like in randomizer. It's like, yeah, it's fine. What's the big deal? Weird. In ROM hacking, like right now in ROM hacking, the rule set is like it's like the randomizer rule set, but it's really lax. It's like more lax than that. That's kind of my interpretation of it. Yeah, that's how like I'm running it. So we have because I'm the only runner, like I'm the only ubiquitous ROM hack runner, right? But I think it makes the most sense because in Gerudo Exile and Goddess of Wisdom, they both ban hovers, which I was not a fan of, but it makes sense, I think, for the run. So like we both those runs ban hovers, but we have a a non hover ban category too, so it's kind of fine. Like it's only a slightly different run, but what's the big deal? That was actually always one of my criticisms about the ALTTP leaderboards. Is like why don't they just have an energy category that legalizes icebreaker? Like it doesn't make much effort to do that. I don't see the big deal.
I think it would be fine if there were a category extensions run with icebreaker and diver
Yeah,
down
right.
legal or
Like
whatever.
I don't
I have
see the big
no
deal.
problem with that.
But yeah, that's how we just do it in ROM hack. So we just have like we have hover band in in Goddess of Wisdom, for example, and then I did a run with hovering in GOW. Now I actually can't hover anymore. I just like lost my ability to
Oh,
hover.
that sucks.
So yeah, right. Isn't that terrible? I think it's my finger. I think my finger's like it's like the bone broke and then it healed, and
Hmm.
it doesn't have as much flexibility, and I can't the pressure on my controller. Like I can't physically hover. I
Weird.
mean I
That
can,
sucks.
but it's like I used to hover like 90% success rate for like specific hovers, like Moldorm 2, which was very good, and it was good enough for a run. My hover success rate's like at some point it's like zero, but it's at most it's like 30% successful. It's not viable. Like I can't use this for runs,
Yeah.
and so I kind of like the no hovering for these rules. 'Cause can't hover. I like can't hover, and I mean I can kind of like sometimes I get it, but like It's bad. I won't even hover a tile almost ever. Dude, I forget what I was saying again. But yeah, like I wish well, whatever the case is, the ROM hacking community, it's nice. It's good. I really like it. Like I'm a fan. I'm gonna be I stick around in it, I think, for a while to see what happens. But yeah, I wish the League of Past community. I wish there was like I wish things were a little bit more together like they used to be. Why do you think that happened?
Well, I think there were some significant individual events that you were a part of that contributed to
Yeah,
it. But I
yeah,
think
that's true.
that mostly, as communities get big enough that, I can find 10 people in the Link to the Past community that I want to hang out with a lot, and we
Yeah,
can break off and not be part of the 100-person group or whatever. I think that just happens in basically every community. Like, I feel like
true.
I'm a part of the main Link to the Past community, certainly. But also, like, I don't, there are a bunch of people I like more than other people, which that's
Weird.
just what being friends is, right? And then also there's an effect where the communities existed long enough that you get sort of like classes, right? So like there's the
Oh
people
yeah.
who are hanging out in 2013 and to 2016 or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
and then like those guys probably still talk to each other once in a while, but only one or two of them are still around. Like Greenham's still around or whatever. I don't know when he started, but and then like those guys overlap a little bit with like the next group of people who like all started at the same time in 2018 or whatever, and like they became
Yeah.
friends because they were learning together. And then like I'm friends with people who were like coming up around the time I was started, and like I still get to know new people a little, but like the people I made these connections with people, we came into the community at similar times or whatever, or like had similar like vibes and like hanging out and like that. I don't know. I think it's very natural for communities to like have you're famously used the word click sort of derogatorily, but I think it's very normal and natural for cliques to form, right? Because I like
Yeah.
hanging out with some people more than other people. Like I don't dislike this guy over here or whatever, but like I don't want to hop in a VC with him.
Yeah, I
So
mean, Ocarina of Time has always been like that, and then Mario 64 community is it's a little bit more like closer, but they've always been like that too, where
yeah,
it's just like Ocarina of Time, especially like that game has like no there is no like single grouping element in Ocarina of Time. There's like the randomizer crew, and then there's like the bingo crew, and then some people speed run certain cat like any percent, and then the 100% runners never talk to them ever, even though they run in the same game like every
wild.
day. Yeah, Ocarina of Time has always been super fractured. So like, yeah, I do wonder. Like, I know, like Downtime Death Cheating had a big hit to Link to the Past, and then Crystal, the whole Crystal drama, obviously that had like a major that was a major element.
Yeah,
I think the leaderboards banning Icebreaker was another major element where like people left. Also, when Zelda stopped playing the game, a lot of people left the game. So like, yeah, I think there has been stuff like that. But I do wonder sometimes, like maybe it's just yeah, the game's bigger. I mean, a lot more people play it, but it's weird. Even though it's bigger, it feels like less people care. I don't know. Am I being critical? Am I being a doomer?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know that I agree. I think that over the past year, the game has somewhat come back to life. I think
Yeah,
like 1 to 2 years ago, it was like
really.
feeling pretty dead.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know about this. I run a tournament series that I started in part to sort of like invigorate it and get people excited
Okay.
to play the game. Um, which I don't know, maybe worked, maybe didn't. But I feel like the game is a lot more live now than it was when I sort of started doing that.
I mean, the past 3 months have been really good. Like ever since I started doing my Zero Bubble runs, the game really has gotten a lot more active. Like Zelda started playing again.
I'll start playing
Oase
again.
started
Awase
playing
came
again.
back. Yep.
Yeah, he got a bunch of PBs. I mean, that's huge. Like that's really good for the game. And then
Yeah, he popped off.
yeah, I know I've seen a bunch. Oh yeah, co-op became a thing, which I think co-op is super fun.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's really good. I think everybody should play co-op because I think also it builds like I don't know what the word is. Like when like companionship or whatever. It builds like a camaraderie. Like it forces you to socialize.
Yeah.
It forces you to socialize, which I think is good because that's something that I never did back in the day, and I wish I would have. Like in hindsight, I played my cards completely wrong over like for like 5 years, but enough about that. But yeah, like I think yeah, the game's been pretty active like lately. I don't know. I hope it like I hope something big happens. You know what I mean? Like something happens. Somebody profits off this. Like and I know not necessarily financially, but
That's a funny way to put it. No, yeah.
like just somebody win. Like there's something big that like is it actually bigger or is it just bigger on the surface and we think it's bigger? Like I hope it's actually like going well. Cause yeah, I mean it was that Link to the Past was completely dead in 2017.
Oh,
Summer of
really?
2017. I was the only person that ran the game.
Wow.
Literally the entire summer. I don't think anybody ran it. Like, I mean, you had like a few other people like once a week or once a month. Nobody was running it. I was the only person, and like, I mean, it was completely dead. Like, I think it was more dead back then than it has been in the past 4 or 5 years. And
Probably.
I've been completely inactive, but like, I still like, I mean, it was dead. Like, it was dead, dead. Like you were lucky if somebody was in the directory. I mean, except for me, I played every day. Yeah, it's rough. Yeah, well, what do you think about like the current metagame of strategies? Because I don't know what your runs look like. In fact, I barely know what anybody's modern runs look like, except for mine, if that makes sense.
I guess I'm not 100% sure what you mean. I think
Well,
that
I'm like a strategy like freak. Like I like know every strategy and I make
yeah.
sure to and I frame count all of them and like so for me it's like seeing the strategies evolve over the years. Like in 2019 I knew every strategy Link to Past. More or less. Like there was a few I'm missing, I'm sure, but like I basically knew everything. But I stopped playing in like 2020, and then like over the past 4 years, there's a ton of stuff that I've learned that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
Like you can buffer mirrors out of menus. I never knew that.
Other way
Like
around, but yeah.
or is it the other way around? You
Yeah.
can buffer a menu out of a mirror. Yeah, I never knew that. Nobody knew that. That was like I don't know when that was discovered. So that's something that like does that save frames? It can save frames actually
It's human
because
error frames, yeah.
yeah, it's probably a few human airframes every other run. So that I mean that adds up. But then there was a few other things I learned recently that I just blew my mind. One about gee, I forget. So there was another weird one, I really weird one that I totally forget. But I actually picked up I changed a few things I did. So in Turtle Rock, right before you do the peg puzzle, that screen, the movement for that screen, I do it slower. I do 3 dashes, but the RNGs are like 80 or 90% friendly. Where if you do the other strat where you walk to the right and then dash down and you get the slope dash, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, on the overworld. Yeah.
Yeah, in the overworld. Yeah, you walk right, you dash down, and then you dash right and you get all this slope dash. The RNGs for that strategy, they're like 50% friendly, maybe 40% friendly. Like they suck. And if you just do 3 dashes, like right down right, it is I think it's like 80 or 85%
Really?
friendly RNGs.
I'll have to
Yeah,
look at
and it's
that.
only like a half second slower.
I mean, that's
Maybe
worth
yeah,
it.
maybe 8, maybe like 45 frames slower, but look, I can't come to the justification to not do that if I'm on a really good run. You know, I hate doing the
Yeah.
slope dash. Yeah, it never works. Like you always bonk on a squirrel or get stuck on a squirrel or like you're picking to the rock and you have to fire on the squirrel. It's not worth it. So yeah, I changed that actually quite a while ago, but I think that's something I'm hoping picks up. And then just today I was doing vanilla randomizer runs and I stopped getting the bomb in Hera after the bomb jump. That bomb pot you get, I stopped getting that bomb pot. I just grabbed the pot above it, which it's like a 6 frame. It's like yeah, it's like 5 or 6 frames quicker. So it really doesn't seem worth it. But the RNGs are so much better. I think it's just a QOL thing. It's way more consistent.
That's
And yeah,
interesting.
it's probably 15 frames slower, maybe 20. But I love it. I'm locked in. I'm never
Yeah.
going back.
I'm like such a
So there's
baby about ammo, so I
really
just
what
want
do
the
you mean? Like,
bomb.
do you get every ammo
I still get an extra bomb in pod.
in pod? Which one?
Well, I just get both of them. I get the one before shooter room, and I do both pots and hammer jump.
Wait, what is shooter room?
The first room, the first key room. There's a
Oh,
Medusa
okay.
that shoots at you, and there's the chest.
Oh, that's why it's called okay, interesting. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That's not bad. I actually think that the bomb jump bomb, I don't get that bomb
Yeah,
because it's too yeah, it screws up my bomb jump, and I don't want to screw the bomb jump at all.
yeah.
But that bomb's really efficient. That's a really good bomb. So I don't there's nothing wrong with that one. You know when I do that, I never see anybody get, which I'm kind of sad about is Swamp, the second screen in Swamp, the big one you dash
Yeah,
down. That bomb is really fast. It's like 30 frames or less. But that one nobody gets, and that one's like really, really efficient. It's consistent too. That one, I've always been really sad about that one. But like, yeah, I was hoping like things like that I noticed don't pick up. Haven't been picking up too much. I think part of it is because like a lot of these stuff it was just me doing it. Like I invented it, and I've been so removed from the community. I just
yeah.
nobody picked it up. Like even now, people still don't know about a lot of this stuff. On blind you can do a sword spin. Have you seen that at all?
Not on purpose. I know people spin their sword and then die a lot.
Yeah, I do that. Shoot. No, yeah, on blind, if you dash up to start the fight, and during you basically charge a spin, and then you let go of the spin. So if you're in the spin animation during blind's text box, you can mash with the D-pad, and it gets you out of the text box, and it doesn't move you
Oh,
because of the spin.
that's
Yeah, and
smart.
I mean it saves like 3 frames, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But it could save up to 5 frames because if you don't do that, you have to mash with like L and R while holding the sword. It's horrible. So yeah, that's gotta save somewhere between like 1 and 5 frames, which is
Yeah, it's a
I
nice
think it's pretty
idea.
significant. Yeah, it's pretty good, but like I never see anyone do that.
I mashed the
Um,
D-pad on at like Ether because you don't have to
yeah,
be
yeah,
doing
exactly.
anything, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Back in the day, like we didn't even mash like LR.
Yeah.
Like we didn't mash every button for. We would just like mash one button or like my L button didn't work for like 3 years and nobody cared. It's just like yeah, it's just like whatever. It's funny. Zelda was saying like it is in one of his streams. Like he felt like back in the day, people didn't care as much, and runs were a little bit more like casual and just for fun. And like you would still try hard on PvP, but like it was just kind of more for like hanging out and like having fun. And like yeah, we would do all these goofy like wrong things. And I don't know. He has his own opinions about what's changed in the past 5 years. Have you been watching his streams?
A little bit. He was actually also on this podcast and talked about
Oh,
some of this stuff a
good.
little
When was
bit.
he on it?
I think 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay, sweet. I missed that. That's great. What did
Yeah.
he say? I'm just curious.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he hasn't been super into the community until like the last week, basically. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, he was talking a little bit about how things were back in the day.
Yeah,
A thing
really?
that's come up a bunch of times is that back in like 2014, maybe 13, 14, kind of like Crystal era, everybody like was like super sweaty, try hard about like tiny little shit. Like they would mess up the first spin in keyguard one and like reset when they have like a
Yeah, yeah,
133 or
yeah.
whatever. And I guess Zelna kind of ended all that for the
Yeah,
most part.
he was a primary force for sure. Him and actually I kind of like piggybacked from him. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, it was so obvious. It's like, well, we gotta stop resetting. I also hated resetting in runs. Like I never reset a race. So I had like I don't know. He had more races than me, but I think I had at least like 400 or 500 like no resets, and like never forfeit a run. So the part of the problem of why people would reset so much is because like you would die. Everybody would die. We'd all
yeah,
die. You would die so frequently. Like you would do Hera for like 3 hours straight. And I mean, like you would do runs up to Hera for 3 hours straight. Like
yeah,
Zelda was like a lot better at like, okay, I'm not gonna die on Hera this run. I might lose 10 seconds, but I'm not gonna die.
yeah.
He was like one of the only people that was doing that. Everyone else was just like, dude, I'm 4 seconds behind. Shoot, I gotta do early Hera bomb jump. And they would fail it, or like,
Right,
I need a 2 cycle, even though they're like 1 second behind. It's like you don't need a 2 cycle. You don't
right.
need yeah, it was just ridiculous. So yeah, that's part of the reason. Like people would just die so much that like we had to reset it. But that's funny. That's pretty funny. Yeah, we used to race a lot back then, which was funny. I think it helped build community.
I'm
Like,
sure.
and Zella was talking about this. He's a quiet guy, but he was saying he did a race recently, like the weekly race, which I was watching him. He was saying he was the only person in the chat putting his times in the chat log. Remember?
Yeah.
And he just stopped doing it because no one else did it. But that was always my favorite thing about a race is putting your timers in. So
People
yeah, it's
still
a
do that
shame.
sometimes. Not
What?
everyone, but Ari does it. I do it. Other people
Oh,
do
people
it.
still okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's like my favorite thing. Do you do the weekly race?
No, I don't. So it's at noon, right? I want to eat lunch.
Oh yeah, yeah, it makes sense.
I could eat lunch
Yeah,
at
that's fair.
11:30 or at like I don't know 11 and then warm up and then do the weekly. I don't know. It's just awkward time for me.
I used to wake up at 11:58 and then do the weekly and then like wake up and then like ready like 5 minutes late every week. It's so fun though. So good times, but yeah, interesting. What was the other thing I was trying to talk about that was funny? Oh yeah, rooms like room grinds, and then I was talking about how yeah, what's different nowadays? Because I you guys do a lot of things differently, and then you were talking about how yeah things are more consistent nowadays. Yeah, I think they're too consistent. I think a lot of y'all are making your streams boring. Like, I mean, sometimes you gotta reset. Like if you're 2 minutes behind, just let the run die. That's I'm of that opinion. But what do you
I
think about that?
well, I don't really care about being a good streamer. So
Yeah, sure.
if you're trying to
Well,
like
like,
be
come
a
on, it's more
content
entertaining for
creator.
me.
Yeah, yeah. No, I try to be entertaining by saying stupid shit instead of having epic gameplay, I guess. No, I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's that aspect to it. It people are more likely to stick around if you're on pace. So if
Yeah,
you're 30
it's
seconds
more.
behind and you want viewers, maybe you really should reset.
I think too is like because in Mario 64, people will still do that. It's like every run, every stream is like I'm specifically grinding for a PB. If I can't PB, I'm gonna reset the run. Every stream is like that in Mario 64. But in A Link to the Past, it's basically the opposite. Like the only streamers that like will reset a run if it's dead are me and Eddie. I don't think anybody else does that. Like, and
There
it's
are others, people you might
there
not know.
are.
I don't know if you know Bitey, but Bitey is like that. A little bit less these days, but still.
Yeah, okay.
And Yurok, also known as Corey, also
I've
does
never
that. He
seen him run
resets.
NMG, but
Corey? Oh yeah, he does. He
I'm sure he
does
does all the
other
time, right?
categories, but he does NMG.
Okay,
He
yeah.
got a 124 fairly recently, and
Oh
then
yeah.
has wanted to do some other categories.
That's probably why.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, because it seems like everybody I watch, it's like they just doing it for like the rep. They're doing reps. Like it's just do another no reset run because it does help out like structurally. The thing
yeah.
is, I used to only do no reset runs, and I like record it in a spreadsheet. Have you heard about that? It's
No,
pretty funny. I did like 350 NMG no reset runs. I recorded every one in a spreadsheet, and then I noticed like the most poignant thing I noticed was that I was getting worse at the game. I wasn't getting I wasn't getting better. I was getting worse at the game, and like at some point I was like, this has got to change because it's like you have data. Like I was looking at like
right.
when you look at data, it's different than like when you just think you're worse at the game. Like I have like real data that like proves I'm worse at the game than like a year ago, and at some point I was like, things got to change. So I started watching the videos. I would do a run, then watch the video, take a 5 minute break or whatever, do another run and watch it. It would take like 7 or 8 hours for 2 runs, but it was so helpful. It never improved that much in that short a period of time from anything that wasn't like you know from effort being put in. I guess is what I mean. Like sometimes you just improve randomly over a week. I don't mean that.
Yeah.
Like I mean like putting effort in and then getting rewarded for it. I've never improved that much from like watching my own VODs. And so I got a lot better at the game. And then a few months later, I started resetting because I was like, these no reset runs are a waste of time. And the problem I think is they teach runners to be more consistent. They teach you to be more stable and more consistent, but they don't teach you to capitalize on good runs. Like in Link to the Past with Aghanim, you should get like 30% of your runs should be good technically, which really means like 25% of your runs should be good. And then 75% of your runs should be garbage, and you should be resetting them up to Aghanim. And then of those 25 that get out of Aghanim, in my opinion, only like maybe about half of them or like 20% of them should get to Ganon. Yeah, I would say about 20% of them. So like 80% of those runs, that's what I mean. Like 20% of your total runs should get to Ganon. And then very few of them would PB, but you don't learn to do that if you just do dead no reset runs. Because the point, if you're in a dead no reset run, your number one goal is to not die again. It's just finish the run. Like you don't want to die again. It's just pain. And also you stop caring. You stop putting any effort in. I used to watch I still watch League of Legends, but I used to play it. And one thing in League of Legends that the Link to Pass does wrong, like the Link to Pass community is just wrong, flat out. And a lot of speedrunning is falls into this, but the League of Legends, it's very competitive. There's millions of dollars, right? And if they're not winning, something's wrong, and they need to change things and they need to address things. And Link to Pass never does that. And it's like in League of Legends, I mean, I forgot exactly what I was trying to say, but in Link to Pass, like yeah, you don't need balanced gameplay. You don't need fifth place. You need first place. Like you need to figure out what wins. You need to figure out like how do you structure a team to win? Well, it's similar in League of the Past. Like how do you structure a run to win? And there's certain things you can do. Like in Eastern, if you skip that arrow pot, which that arrow pot's really efficient, but if you skip that arrow pot, it puts you ahead, makes your mindset efficient, makes your mind on top of things, makes you more, your adrenaline goes up, which means you're gonna play better. If you structure your run in such a way that you can capitalize on good RNGs and you can capitalize on good stuff, it's gonna catapult you ahead. And you just don't get that no reset runs. I mean, I did it. I did close to 400 no reset runs. You don't get it in no reset runs. You'll never get it. So that's something that I think that's part of the reason I'm critical of it. But it's also boring. So I'm trying to get people to change that. But
I think finishing runs is more fun than resetting. So I don't find it
really,
boring. Yeah, it's just
have you
fun
ever
to see the whole
grinded
game.
like resets?
Yeah, it wasn't very fun for me. I grinded a lot of resets when I was going for 125, and it just was annoying and frustrating.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Do you do like true no reset runs or like
not really.
um
I have
what's
about
that?
a 30 to 35% run completion rate.
Like that's crazy. Do you know how crazy that is if you rewind the clock to like 2014, like 2013 to like 2017? Do you know how crazy that is?
Yeah.
That's like unthinkable. Yeah, that was unthinkable back then. Like most runners had like a 5%. Like
Yeah.
5% completion rate was like high.
Yeah.
I was like, you're a consistent runner. But nowadays, yeah, there's runners with like 70%,
Yeah, a
35%. Like,
couple.
yeah, it's wild. And I think it's so boring to watch, but it's interesting. It's really interesting. I don't even know how that like evolved. I think part of it is I actually think my no reset grind was had a big impact. I think it did have a big impact, but I think Zelda had a I think it coincided with Zelda because he basically did the same thing with races. Like I mean, if you
Yeah.
look at his race stats, have you seen his race stats?
No.
They're crazy. He's like 800 wins of
Wow.
like 850 races. Yeah.
Jeez.
Like you think about it, he's doing 2 no reset runs a day every day for years and like yeah, it adds up. It builds up. I think both of those like coincided and like people started mimicking us without realizing what they're doing. They're just mimicking us.
Zelda, Link to the Past. 854 total races, 760 wins.
Yeah, but look at like NMG. Just look at NMG races because he has a lot of like Wind Waker races. Or
No,
are you
that's
just
just
looking
in
at
Link
Link
to the
Past?
Past, yeah.
Okay, but still, he has like a bunch
Like
of
an
goofy ass races in
85%
there.
win rate or something. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous. Yeah.
and if you get rid of the goofy races like challenge races and
Yeah.
early randomizer crap that nobody it doesn't really count. Yeah, it's a little bit more skewed. It's even more skewed in his favor, and most of those are NMG runs. And yeah, it was pretty wild. Like even my race stats weren't that good. I think I only had like 500 races, 550 or something, and I have like a 200 wins or 150 wins. To be fair, most of my losses were against him, so it's like
Yeah, you've got
yeah.
564 races with 285 wins, which is also very
Yeah,
good.
guess where 285 losses were
Yeah,
from?
right. Half,
Guess
three
who they
quarters
were?
of them were
We've done
Zelda, I'm
like
sure.
12 times total. Like it was pretty rare.
Yeah.
Um,
So I guess I wanted to come back to that. I think that a lot of people lose focus on their runs instantly when they're behind enough, or they perceive themselves to be unable
yeah,
to PB. I personally usually don't have that problem. For a very long time, I was really trying to gold every single split, every single run. I would like die to pod and then like grind my dick off for like a 1 frame ice gold. So I
yeah,
think if you're playing like if you can genuinely keep it together and play like that, then I think it's like good practice to finish out runs. But also, I think that we have a different perspective on this because you really want world record, and I just don't really have that mindset. But for me, it's always been clear to me that it's easier to continue getting better at the game and just let the PBs happen than it is to like try to spike the best possible run that I can right now. Like it is easier for me to get to the point where getting a 123 5x is just not that hard than it is for me to like grind resets and like sweat over every detail when like a 123 5x is the best possible run I could ever do if my life depended on it. It's just like an easier path for me to just like whatever, I'll spend an extra month practicing and getting better and doing a bunch of runs and then the 123 will come.
yeah.
And I don't think
True.
that's not a world record holder's mindset, I don't think, but that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, it's funny because back in the day too, the number one advice for everybody across the board is you need to finish more runs and you need to stop resetting so much and make your runs more consistent. Like that was the number one advice for every single player. So is the average player right now better? Because I would say the average player right now is like super consistent and doesn't reset at all, which is a total night and day. Like it's night and day.
Yeah.
Are they better now? I think players right now are better. I think actually the current crop of players, if you adjusted for strategies and like the time zones or whatever, I mean the time eras, I think the current crop of players is better because of that, because they resale less. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, I think we learned that over like a decade. But yeah, back in the day, everybody thought League of the Past was like hard game. They thought it was difficult, and they thought the run was very inconsistent. Like we genuinely thought that, which isn't. It's not true at all. Like none of those are true. I mean, Link to the Past is probably the easiest mechanical game of any like popular speedrun. It's
Mm, I don't
very,
know.
very consistent.
Yeah.
Don't you think so?
Well, I mean, it depends. It has a sort of unlimited ceiling on precision,
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
so it's difficult in that way. But with a couple exceptions, like Cold Stare and whatever requires a lot of
But
precision to not die. But
have you
in general,
ever
yeah,
played Super Metroid? Have you ever played Super
a
Metroid?
little bit. Yeah, I have like a
That game's like
59.
hard to play. Like, and I mean, like it's hard to like play casually. Like it's
Yeah,
physically like what
yeah,
button do I press? Like Link to the Past has always been like, okay, you press A for dashing,
right.
B for slashing, and then you have a D-pad. Like it's
I
really
think
straightforward.
I think in KPDR, whatever the easy route is, the old route
Yeah,
in SM, I think it's harder to die in that than it is in Link to the Past.
really.
Yeah, at least if you get a couple safeties.
That's interesting. I think Link to the Past is really it's a really deep speed run. Like
Yeah,
I always liked it to because a lot of my gameplay theory, that's what I would call it when I would like try to make these arguments about gameplay optimization. A lot of it was like it was so easy to root from a Link to the Past because the Link to the Past is so fundamental.
yeah.
Like it's a fundamental game. It's very basic. Like you have D-pad inputs and then you have slash dash and item. Very basic, but yeah, there's a high skill ceiling. There's a ton of that you can pull out of it, and also there is a really good mixture of like risk, reward, and like threat levels and whatnot. You have items to like factor in for resources. Like in Mario 64, I love that game, but there's no resources. So people always say it's the best speedrun, but like your game has no resources. Your game's in 30 FPS. It's like your game's very binary. There's no RNG, which I know RNG can be bad, but can be very good. It does add a level of complexity. It's like, well, the game doesn't really have any of those. So it's like, I like Link to the Past for that. Yeah, I still think it's like super basic compared to like most. Yeah, to a lot of speedruns. Oh shoot, I totally forgot my point, but yeah, I always do that. I know I'm like too scared, but yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's a good game. Anyway, I don't know if I'm talking too much. If you have something to say, just jump in. But the thing about the gameplay optimization stuff, it's weird looking at like I'm trying to grind out a world record. That's kind of why I started resetting more because, in my opinion, like what is the point of a speed run? It's to get, and this is where this whole gameplay like ideas come from. It's like, well, what's the point of a speed run? It's to get specific goal times that are specific outlier goal times. Like being consistent has no value in speedrunning, unless you're racing. And actually, it's also valuable in randomizer. It's like really valuable in randomizer,
Yes.
which I think part of this consistency thing that people are on nowadays is routed from randomizer. I think like you had a bunch of randomizer runners who were looking to get more consistent at the game and looking to get better at the game, not necessarily get a goal time. And so they were like, why reset? What's the point? It doesn't really, what value does reset
I
have?
don't really think that's causally true. I'm
Really?
not 100%. I could be wrong to some degree, but I think that when randomizer players pick up the speedrun, which isn't super often, a lot of players will do one a year or whatever. But I think mostly they pick up our norms. I don't think that they're
They pick up
changing.
what?
They pick up our norms, like our community, habits
Oh, yeah.
and
Okay. I see. I
customs,
see.
much more than influencing them. There are
Yeah.
exceptions, right? Players like Ari, who is both a very strong randomizer player and obviously a very strong NMG player. His certainly Rando colors his perspective, and certainly also his perspective colors the rest of the NMG community's feelings. Just because he's sort of a big presence in the community. But I think in general that's not really the case. I think in general, I think the consistency arguments, I don't really have the history on this. I'd be interested to. Maybe I'll track them down later this year on the podcast. But my perspective of them is that it's downstream of Greenham. I don't know where his impetus came from, but my perspective is that Greenham had a very strong message that people should prioritize consistency and finishing runs and so on. And I think
Weird.
that really proliferated. That's how it seems to me, but I haven't done my
Yeah, you're
history
probably
really.
right. They probably did. I'm sure he had an impact. I'm sure he had an impact. Well, it was always back then. That was always the message. It's like stop resetting, do more runs.
Who
Because
else
like you
was
have,
spreading that message?
what?
Like who else was spreading that
Oh, I mean,
message?
like every like that's what everybody would say, but they would like not do it.
Oh,
Everybody would say that. Everybody knew it. But like,
okay,
if you looked at chronic resetters, like Downtime Death was a chronic resetter.
okay,
You know, he was a chronic resetter. He was constantly resetting in escape and Eastern, and like he had a good escape for this reason. Adahid, I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah.
Constantly resetting. He was one of the worst resetters.
I actually know that about him. Yeah.
Yeah, we had some really crazy resetters. There's this guy named Reladude. I'm assuming you've never heard of Reladude because he has
Oh.
like 30 followers on Twitch. He was hilarious. He was the most crazy resetter. Him and this Swedish or Finnish runner. I can't remember the guy's name, like Bog Jamel, or I can't remember his name, but Reladude was one of the craziest resetters. He only finished 2 runs in his life, and he played the game for months. I mean, he played the game for like 6 months or a year or something. He just never finished runs, and he has a 131, I think. But like he had a 136 and then a 131. I mean, he could have got a 128 at the time.
Yeah.
He just never finished runs, and like it was so bad. Like there's so many like Cybot. I don't know if you remember that guy. He was chronically resetting. His escape was better than mine. My PB was like 4 minutes better, and his escape was better because he
Yeah.
just reset so much. Yeah, his escape was actually really good. Like it was really good. Like Oase has a good escape. Yeah, Cybot was like that, but it's funny because Oase kind of reminds me of those guys. He's closer to that generation
Yeah.
than the current generation, where he's like he resets a lot. Very, very, very good escape. He's very aggressive about practice and aggressive about like doing aggressive strats and runs and like yeah, there was like everybody was just crazy resets. Like okay, the Blunt Bunny, he was more consistent. He was always one of the like he's resetting less, trying to finish more runs out. He was always a little bit more consistent. Um, Zelna was the big one. I mean, I was a reset guy. I was always resetting, but when I did my no reset grind, I think that had a lot of impact on people, and they just don't like to admit it. Because
Could be.
yeah, I think people just don't want to admit it, but I think that did have a lot of impact on people because like that changed my perspective too on things. Like after that, I basically only reset if it's structurally important to getting a specific goal time. Like if you watch my or if it's like really boring. I mean, frankly, if it's boring for the stream, I'll reset. But like if you watch my ROM hacks, like that's how I do ROM hacks is I just do no reset runs. In fact, if you looked at the zero blue ball runs I did, I probably only finished like 40 or 50 zero blue ball runs, but I never once practiced. I only did no reset runs. And I must have practiced like something like I'm a bomb jump, but I never pulled out the practice hack. I only did I only did no reset runs for like the past 3 months or 4 months. So yeah, that kind of colored my opinion quite a bit on it as well. But then yeah, there was I don't know who else like specifically was like there was a few people, but I don't remember. Oh yeah, this guy named Evil Ash. He was very consistent.
Oh
He would
yeah.
never reset. He's actually why I think that guy is why I think that you current runners are better on a conceptual level. Like what you're currently doing is a lot better because like he was never good at the game. Now he did work full time and he was older. So it's like I don't, I'm not trying to like dog on his skill at the game. Um, but he had really safe strats across the board. Just everything was safe, and he would perform really well under pressure. He would perform really well on the good runs and in races. And I never knew why, but it's because his runs were more consistent and strats were more down to earth and more like you know doable. And I think like if he played more, or if he was more serious, I think he'd have a good time. He would have had good times back then. So I think that yeah, I think like the current motivation of players, I do think it's right. I think it's right to reset like considerably less. And Link to Past is it's so consistent as a game. Like this game is so consistent, which we never knew that. Nobody ever realized Link to Past was consistent before. I mean, it occurred to me maybe in 2018, somewhere between 2017 and 2019. This game is really consistent.
You
Yeah,
have to
like most games
get
aren't like this.
you have to get better at it for it to be consistent than anybody was maybe at the
Yeah,
time.
that's true. That's true.
Like before your I don't want to really pick a particular number, but maybe 124 level. It's not really consistent. You're not really good enough to not lose gigantic chunks of time all over the place.
Yeah, I guess I see what you're saying. That is kind of true. There's a certain point where it becomes like super consistent, like never die. But a lot of the reason it wasn't consistent for like 4 years is because Crystal and Jaden, everybody learned from Crystal and Jaden.
Right, and they were doing frame horse strats.
Yeah, they were doing just ridiculous. I mean, Crystal wasn't even, she was like literally, from my understanding, running tasks, like just running like goofy tasks for fun with doing just impossible strats. So it's like, well, that's not helping. I mean, to people like you had hundreds of runners wrongly learn from these runs and think, oh, this is how you're supposed to play the game. So that went on for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, we only really accepted that her runs were fake in 2018.
You know,
But
Zelna
the
still
community,
thinks they're real.
he really does.
Yeah. I asked him about it when he was on the podcast. He says he thinks
I
the
that blows my
124s are
mind.
real.
He thinks the 124s are real.
Yeah.
That's good because I mean, people were inspired by those runs.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's good for his motivation because I was inspired by those runs too. Like everybody was inspired. That's why we played the game is because we wanted to do that or beat
Right.
that or like yeah, get close to that. But I ultimately the reason I really think they're fake because my friend made a emulator that like mimicked Crystal's fake runs like to the exactly mimicked her runs and it's like if I could do that. I could make her runs
Right.
if I wanted to. In fact, I did. I did make I made a Master Sword run, and if you watch it in playback, it's like weird. It's weird. It's wrong, but it's mechanically fast, and then it's also impossible to detect. Like you just can't say it's fake. So, but I talked to the guy who made it like this year, and he's like he DM'd me, and he doesn't. He's not a programmer. This guy who made it, he's not a programmer. He's a speedrunner. He's a friend of mine. He made the emulator. He got a little bit of help from another guy on a forum. Yeah, he DM'd me. He's like, how do you know Crystal's runs are fake? Like, how do we actually know? We never proved it. And I mean, I kind of agree with that, but like, I don't know. It's just, I think Crystal should prove her runs are real, and she never did. But that's
Yeah.
interesting. I'm interested by what he's saying there, but I'm not going to deny him on that one. It's like if he wants to believe that, power to him. But what do you think? I mean, do you
So
have an opinion or?
I don't. I haven't really watched them. I want to. I've been kicking around this idea of doing a world record history where I watch back a bunch of old historical world records like on
Yeah, you
stream.
should.
I think it'd be interesting. I
Yeah.
think it's a little bit funny to like watch people's old content and be like, look at this cheater. Oh, look at this guy. He sucks. Like, like I wouldn't be a dick about it, but I feel like
Yeah.
it'd be hard to sort of do it in the right way that doesn't feel like sort of like I'm exploiting other people's achievements. But I think it'd be
Yeah.
really cool, and I would be really interested in like watching Crystal's runs from a perspective of actually knowing how the game works now.
Yeah, you should definitely watch it. They're weird. They're not. They're weird runs. Actually, I really think you should try to exploit people's content because every other community does that. Every community does it.
Yeah,
Everywhere does it, and and it's good. It helps the people who you exploit. I mean, it helps them out. It doesn't hurt them. It helps them out. It helps you out. Like it's just for some reason speedrunners don't do that, and like League of Pass people especially don't do that. But I don't think it's good for. I don't think it's good for the long term health of the game, and I think that's part of the reason this game is like it's weird lately. Like the past year or so, it's been weird because it's like a lot of these attitudes we had back in the day. They don't. I don't think they carried over right. But yeah, that'd be really cool. I would watch that. You should do that because I'm. So do you know the history? If assuming Crystal's runs aren't real or aren't legitimate, which I will say this, Crystal's runs are not verifiable.
yeah,
Like
everybody
they've
says
never
that.
been verifiable.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. Like that's something that I do think is legitimate. Like to claim they are fake, I guess is like you could argue, but to claim they're not world record because they're not verifiable, I think is a legitimate claim.
yeah.
And I don't know the history of who had the record before her.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Let me link you. We have a wiki page about this.
oh, really?
Yeah, very cool page. Oops.
Is it accurate?
It's accurate
If
as
assuming Crystal's runs were real?
far as I know. It's mostly Josh's work.
Okay, he's good.
Yeah.
Here, I'll take a peek at this.
So he assumes that the 126 is the last legitimate. No, sorry. He thinks that none of Crystal's runs starting with the 126 are legitimate, and so it goes from Piromu to Christos to Jaden, and then Zelna catches back up.
Oh yeah, so Crystal's runs are in here. Oh, this is cool. Yeah, this is really cool. Yeah, 24:31. I remember that run. Oh yeah, look at the 124:29. I was in that race. And yeah, his the Palace of Darkness, his run cut out, so there was no there's no like complete video. So he didn't want to submit it.
Yeah.
124:20 Zelda got this was famous in my opinion. Like this run was historical for this game.
He was saying that that was like maybe the best run. No, the
Yeah,
123.19 is the best run.
yeah, I think the 23:19 is the best run too. But that 24:20. So I'm biased because I think my 23:09 was like I think my 23:09 was the best run up to Ganon's Tower. That run is just absolutely ridiculous.
Is
It's
that the
still
one where
best
you
run.
kind of choke GT?
Yeah, I mean, like, I know everyone says I choked it, but like, look,
I
It
mean,
wasn't. It was a bad Ganon's Tower. It was a very bad Ganon's Tower. But yeah, that run up to Ganon's Tower was ridiculous. That run up was ridiculous. But yeah, I think the 2420 and the 2319 were also like, yeah. Because the thing about the 2420 is that he choked the end game really hard. It was the same deal. He was like 40 seconds ahead.
oh
Like that could
wow.
have been a 2340. Yeah, it was crazy good. Like he was since you should have watched him in a Turtle Rock Overworld, the first Rock Garden screen. He's so nervous. He's just like, and he gets scroll blocked 2 times, I think,
Oh
on that
god.
screen. Like it was brutal. Yeah, he was just crazy nervous, and he only lost like 12 seconds or something, and then like G Tower, then Gannis Tower was a disaster, and then it was just like that was an insane run, and then yeah, the 2342 that one stuck for a while.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. That is interesting. Okay, this is interesting. I actually had, at least maybe, I had the longest single world record.
Yeah.
Is that true?
I haven't actually done the math, but I think so.
Oh, you know what?
That record stood for so long.
I think Eddie's 122.49 may be longer because this is 18 months. His is 19 months.
Oh wow, yeah.
Or his is
Wow.
21 months at this point.
That was December
And
22. Damn.
wow. Yeah,
Can't believe
my
it's that
run
long
was
ago.
17 months. Okay, so yeah, because but the real reason is because I quit playing the game, and then they changed the rules. That rule change, it bothers me so much.
Which rule
It
change? Are
really
you talking
bothers
about
me.
the icebreaker and diver down thing?
Yeah, that thing bothers me because my PB in NMG was never that good. Like the 2309 was a 2-second PB, and I lost like 30 seconds that run. And then
Yeah.
the next PB I got was like not even very good. I just happened to not lose 30 seconds in G Tower, and then I never got another PB.
So can you talk a little bit about why you chose to break off and run alternate rule set runs instead of just continuing with the main category?
Yeah, because I don't think it's a legitimate category. It just and it bothers me. It like really bothers me to play it because it's in my opinion it's not a league to pass any percent no save and quit, which is the original rule set. If you looked at the category, it was it's always been like it's always been this category, but like really fundamentally, it was because you had 0 games played at the end of it. There was no extreme glitches that skipped dungeons or skipped screens or that like you warped from like Palace of Darkness to the credits. Nothing weird was happening. Um, that was always the point of the run, right? 0 games played and like just kind of playing the dungeons. And they would create these new glitches, and every time these new glitches like out of bounds was discovered and YBA was discovered, you'd always have to ban it because it skipped too much of the game. I mean, YBA only skipped like 12 minutes, and we still banned it because it just skipped dungeons, so we had to ban it, right? I mean, it makes sense to me. Um, and then if there were small glitches that skipped screens but only saved a little bit of time, like Spooky Fire Rod, it saves what 11 or 12 seconds.
Yeah.
It skips what one screen. What's the big deal? Same with fake flippers. Same with spin speed. Same with a lot of glitches that were discovered between that 7-year period. What else? Tree rupees. That was at the time save fake flippers. Hammer jump. That saved 35 seconds. That was actually
Yeah.
a really big deal. Yeah, I don't know what other. There's other ones. And the new glitches will hopefully come out. So then Icebreaker was discovered. It's the exact same glitch as every other glitch that was. What's the issue? Like, it barely skips anything. It saves an insignificant amount of time. The physics behind it aren't like egregious or anything. So why? So then, but it's banned all of a sudden. So if you looked at the philosophy of the category, it shouldn't be banned. But if you looked at like I don't even know why they banned it. I mean, I know there was a vote, but that doesn't justify anything. So that's why I don't justify as a real category, and I don't like playing it. I hate playing it. I can't play it. Yeah, it's not legitimate. It's like this isn't any percent MG. You're not playing the game, like not playing the category. Like you're playing a frozen rule set that is more comfortable to speed run on a leaderboard, which is okay. I'm okay with that. And in many ways, it's better. That's why I run the zero blue ball ROM because you're looking at a frozen rule set that's built to be competitive. Well, if I'm going to play a zero blue ball ROM, I'm going to do on that. That makes much more sense to me. But it's not no save and quit. It's not any percent no save and quit. That's how I see it.
Hmm. So I think of the category as a much more of a living thing than that, and the what the players of the category maybe thought of the category as being shifted over time from a more permissive rule set that allowed things like hammer jump, which I think that it's silly that hammer jump is allowed. I think it's a little
Yeah,
bit
right.
incongruous that hammer jump is allowed and icebreaker isn't. But
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Like,
I voted against icebreaker. I don't want it to. I don't want it getting more glitchy over time. Like
yeah,
I don't like that. I don't know if you've seen the new pod hoverbout stuff, but we allow
yeah, yeah,
hovering through rails, and so now you can just save 5 seconds if you do these hovers through rails that look just so
yeah.
egregious to me. Like it's
Really?
crazy to me. We're calling that a minor glitch to
Yeah,
float in midair and walk straight through a rail. Like okay, like
to
whatever.
me that's like it's like that has to be a minor glitch. Of course, it's a minor glitch. Like, of course, speedruns develop over time. But keep talking. I was curious.
No,
Keep going.
that's basically all I had to say. But like, like whatever. I don't know. But I think that it's interesting that you take such a hard line on it because like if Icebreaker had come in, I would have grumbled about it, but kept playing the category. And like
Yeah,
I don't I think that playing the category that everyone else plays has a lot of value. And so like I think maybe like if I were writing the rule set or whatever, then hammer jump and hovering would probably be banned. But I'm not gonna like go
really.
off and play a run without those glitches just because I disagree on this aspect of the
It
rule set. And so it's
it like
interesting that you
bothers
went
me.
sort of took the nuclear route.
It like bothers me. I mean, I tried playing NMG. A few times. I tried playing it. I literally get halfway through a run and I'm just like I don't want to do this. And like I mean in it was 2021 I think. Yeah, I think it was 2021. I did a few offline runs and I did two offline runs and they were both PB pace. And I almost PB'd on one of them and like the first one, like totally dry.
Wow.
Because my PB is not that good in that category, never was. And I just gave up halfway. I was like, I don't want to do this. I hate it. I was like, I hate doing this because to me it's not any percent no saving quit, which is always what I've done. It's any percent no saving quit. I've always played that category. It's always been because to me it's more about it. It's more about a display of how far can you push the game mechanically in this category, and how far, like how much can you do? How extreme can you get it? Like how low can you push it? So when you arbitrarily ban glitches like that, it's not the category anymore. It's like you're playing a different category, and I see it as a frozen. It's a frozen competitive category. That's how I see it, which I think is okay, and that's why I play on the zero blue run. Again, my brain is like comfortable doing that, but playing that category just has no. I have no interest in it, none whatsoever, and it's like. Yeah, yeah. I wish I would have played it. I wish I could play it. I would get more viewers if I played it.
That's
I
true.
think my view count would go back up, and I'd make more
Yeah.
money if I played it. It makes me sick. It makes me like sick to play it. I just don't have no interest in it. So
That's fair
I
enough.
am. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I did. There was another time I tried running it too. Just it's something that it's like deeply bothers me. So yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's okay. I'm actually really comfortable playing ROM hacks lately. Like I've had so much fun playing ROM hacks. I'm kind of just like I'm retired. I've like retired NMG. I'm just like
Totally fair.
yeah, I just play ROM hacks now and goofy like vanilla randomizer or whatever. It's a lot of fun. I'm like loving it. Yeah, but yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know. I didn't know. I like. I mean, I like that. Like I think speedrunning because speedrunning is changing. It used to be more about like demonstrating a high quality speedrun. That's what SDA was always about.
Yep.
Oh, we need one good high quality speedrun. It's not a leaderboard. It's just need a high quality speedrun. That's why everybody did like the past runs. It was like Jaden's all his runs were like, okay, can I get this on SDA? Every run Jaden ever did was like that. Same with Zelda, a lot of them. So yeah, to me, it's like that's why I just think it's like you're fundamentally changing the nature of the game. Like you're fundamentally changing the nature of the category. Like the internal the internal category that's existed for like 20 years is fundamentally changing. You fundamentally change the definition of it. And it always frustrated me because it was like all we did was vote on it. It was like some goofy vote one time, but it just ridiculous. That is ridiculous to me. That can't change like 20 years of history. That to me is absurd. So that's kind of why it always bothers me so much. I think as a frozen race category or it's a frozen competitive category, it's fine. And actually, I mean, like, Super Mario Sunshine, Ocarina of Time, they have competitive categories. Like they don't watch the credits in Super Mario Sunshine or the intro, the 5-minute intro
Yeah.
cutscene. Yeah, it's more competitive. It's better for streamers. Like I get that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think the old NMG might be better for viewership. It might be more competitive. It's more linear. The category is more like yeah, it's more linear. It's more like easier. It's a lot easier, I think. It is what it is. But yeah, I just retired. Like I mean, Zelda started playing it. I think he's gonna bring more viewership than I ever would. And then on top of that, I don't know if he's how seriously he's playing it. Did he talk about that at all?
Well, no, he hadn't gotten back to it yet when I was talking to
Oh,
him.
okay. But yeah, I don't know how serious he's getting. I mean, the current other runners like he's been great. He's trying to get a 3x or you know,
Yeah, I don't know how much he's been playing Zelda lately. He plays other stuff a bunch.
oh, right. Well, there's other runners too. I mean, even look some of the newer guys like you and I've seen Oasa. He's strong. I wish there was more. Yeah, I wish there was more like motivation to get those top times. I feel like the motivation to get like a 122 or to get like world record right now is a little bit dead.
Yeah.
Um,
The
'Cause
only
I don't think it's
person
that hard.
the only person who's interested in it is the world record holder. So
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I mean, Eddie wants to quit when he gets to. I don't know if he will, but
I don't know.
yeah, it's the type of thing where it's like I wish there was more. Because yeah, I really don't think it's that hard. Like I think if you just made your move. I mean, most of my movement is very what's the word? Like it's very easy, simple. Anybody could do it. It's anybody could do it. You just don't know what to do. But like what if you learn what to do, anybody could do it. I think anybody could get a low 123 and I think 122 like to go from like a 2320 to 122 it does actually take quite a bit of effort. And there's like a mechanical you need to get mechanically clean. Like I think to get a 12320 or a 30, you don't have to be that clean mechanically. But it starts to like, and I think to get like a 12229 or 39, you have to be very clean mechanically. Like you see like professional gamers like StarCraft professionals and the League of Legends professionals. These guys are like gifted. I mean, they're super gifted mechanically, right? If these guys are playing speedrunning, like how good of a time would they get?
That's
That's what
funny. Do you think anybody is good at Link to the Past?
I think Zelda is. I think Zelda's mechanically gifted,
Do you
yeah.
think
But
Zelda is?
but I think if you put him into like South Korea and you put him against all the other South Korean League of Legends pros, because there's only 40 of them. If you look at the total player pool of South Korean League of Legends pros, there's actually only 100 of them
Hmm.
total, like total,
Yeah.
And then if you complement with China, there's only a few hundred like truly talented guys, like what 100, 200. I mean, there's millions of people that play the game. So if you compared them on like a global scale in reality, because I mean, there's Counter Strike, there's millions of people play Fortnite. A few of them are really good.
Yeah.
There's all these games. It's like, is Zelda actually good? Who knows? I kind of think so. I kind of think I'm probably better than I give myself credit. Actually, Eddie's better. He plays Counter Strike at a pretty good level.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like you look at Green Suigi. I think that guy's like genuinely talented. He's like a generational gamer. Same with Mango in League in Smash Melee. Like
Yeah.
Mango in Super Smash, he's a generational gamer.
Yeah.
Same with Armada. Yeah, these guys were like Mango was the best player in the world at 15. There's no amount of like I need to practice every day and I need a good mentality and I
Yeah.
need to like dude, you're 15 and you're the best player in the world. Like
And he's never had a good mentality.
no, yeah, he has a horrible mentality.
He's a drunk.
He has a really good approach to gameplay, though.
Yes.
Like his approach to gameplay has always been phenomenal. Same with Armada. I mean, Armada, and actually, it's funny because Armada was the best player in the world. Yeah, at 15, 16, 17, whatever, 14. And Armada had the worst practice environment in the world too. So everybody that makes all these excuses why they're not good, well, that's not really what's going on. Like at some point, Zelda avoids boulders more than the next guy. At some point, he's able to react to Vitreous eyeballs better than the next guy. At some point, it's like, on Helmasaur, he's able to actually hit the 17 hammers and not get hit by Helmasaur and saves half a second. These little things that like really add up, and I mean they really add up. But yeah, it's funny because Armada is garbage at Mario 64. I hate to say that because he's not garbage at the game, but like if you're looking at like top tier players, he's garbage at the game. He's like in 19th place. He's been playing for like 5 years. But I think it's because he doesn't care. at all. He just does it for the streaming. I mean, it's like moderately fun, but actually also Armada is his speedrunning, like his understanding of speedrunning is really immature. He doesn't
Interesting.
really understand because I watch that guy every day in the morning, every day. He's amazing at melee. I mean, just amazing at melee. Like he's better. He's the best melee player, I think, right? Um,
Armada.
yeah, in history, in all of history, and it's
Interesting.
debatable, but he has some of the highest highs. Like he's crazy, right? But you watch his Mario 64 stuff, and he's like average. Actually, he should be better. Like his PB is not good for how much he plays. Like it's bad for how much he plays. Um, but I think it's because he doesn't understand how to optimize movement. He has no idea how to make optimize movement, make movement clean, make make runs like just he doesn't understand that stuff. And so he has like fundamentally like genetically he's good at gaming because he has like, his reflexes are like perfect and like his hand-eye coordination or whatever the genetic skills are. They're like perfect. Like some of Marmada's Mario 64 gameplay and runs is outrageous. It's like phenomenal. Like in certain skill sets, he's like a 10. It's like his movement optimization is like a 2 out of 10. Like it's horrible. He has no concept of it whatsoever. And so that leads me to believe that there are factors in speedrunning that are unique and they do matter. Like you can't just be good at all games. Like actually
Yeah.
games do have unique like so I think Zelda was good at who was like really good at League of the Past because he was good at movement optimization, but he also genetically has like very good reflexes and etc. Whatever other skills that we take for granted, Like I have skills in the League of the Past that I take for granted that I just do better than the next guy and I'm not aware of it. I don't know what those are, but like whatever those are, um, yeah, I think like Zelda's he's really good at those, but he also is really good at like movement optimization, which is super important for super important for speedrunning. And just like intuitively understanding like how to optimize movement, like to the point where like you can look at like five different strategies and be like, well, these three strategies are just horrible. Don't ever do them. These two strategies, I'm gonna play around with them in a practice hack for like 5 minutes. Oh, this one's better, and just do this one in a run, and then you actually get the best times.
Right.
Like think about that because I'm pretty confident most of the Link to Past runners can't do that. Like
Yeah.
most Link to Past runners, if you gave them that specific scenario, they would either give you the wrong answer or they just wouldn't know how to fix it.
I've
And like,
actually thought about doing this. I've never mentioned this before, but I've for a long time have had this idea of having like maybe a weekly series or something where you give someone where you put out like a starting point and an ending point and like some equipment loadout or whatever, and you just give people like a couple
oh
days,
yeah,
like go from whatever sexy statue room backwards out the left door into pod main lobby, like as fast as
hmm
possible. Best time at the end of the week wins a gold star. I think that kind of thing would be really cool because like everybody, so much of
yeah,
speedrunning is just like fucking copy what Zelda does or whatever. I think it would be
yeah,
cool to have a mode of competition that's like figure out the best route through like 3, 5, 7 rooms with some maybe you have the wrong sword
yeah,
or like you start out on cape for some reason or whatever.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And it would be even crazier if it was like you couldn't task it, like if you had limited attempts or like you could, you had to like do it within an hour or something. You know
Yeah,
what I
like a
mean? So
shorter
like,
time window. Yeah.
yeah, there was like some they were you was actually rewarding creativity because like you can get a lot of value out of that. Like the old philosophy of speedrunning in League of the Past was always like, okay, I need to do everything perfectly, and I'm going to practice for an infinite amount of time until I can do everything perfectly, and then I'll just get a perfect run. This is ridiculous. And then like when Zelda started playing, and I mean, again, I invented a lot of my own arguments, but I kind of piggybacked on his approach to the run structure. It was like, oh, okay, you just figure out how to optimize movement, and then you just kind of do runs until you get a better PB. And like it's actually minimal practice. Like I'm barely practicing at all. In fact, I don't practice Link to Past. Like I haven't practiced this game seriously in like 7 years. I mean,
Yeah.
the last time I actually practiced it, like genuinely, was in 2019, and I spent like 2 hours a day for like 3 weeks or like 2 weeks. Like that was it. And like that is, I mean, I would practice 12 hours a day. I was doing like 10 hours a day for like 2 months straight.
That's a lot.
So like doing 2 hours a day for 2 weeks total was like kind of trivial. Um, but it was it's because the movement optimization was so much more optimized, and we just got better at the game. So yeah, it was easier to it's easier to go into run. And I mean, it also became a thing of like, okay, I'm trying to get a PB. Let's polish the run as much as possible. Let's refresh on like movement stuff and menuing and like if you're trying to get the best possible run, it's obnoxious, but like you need to be able to get out of text boxes a frame earlier on every text box. You have to be able to mash text quicker. You have to be able to grab chests a frame earlier. Like just do stupid stuff that is not really skill and like it's just stupid. And it adds up. It's like 10 seconds.
Oh yeah.
That's like 20 seconds right there. And it's like
Yeah.
that's the difference between a 122 49 and a 123 flat. It's just that. And it's like nobody really wants to do that. But like if there was like a tournament at the end of the year or like a marathon that was competitive at the end of the year and everybody's trying to like polish their run because that's what happens in traditional gaming. Is like Worlds only happens once a year. Oh, Genesis only happens once a year. You need to be at top form. Like in speedrunning, it's like, well, every day is Genesis. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, just to go back to the ultimate question, like would Zelda or would any Link to Past speedrunner be really good at like are they like genuinely talented? I don't know. I don't know if like on one hand, I think a lot of speedrunners are, and we just kind of are ignoring it. On the other hand, I have no idea. I kind of don't think so because there's no economy, there's no
Yeah.
infrastructure. Yeah,
I
there's no
think
motivation.
I
Like,
think like statistically, nobody is as good at Link to the Past as like Flash is at StarCraft or like Tom
yeah,
Brady
there's
is
no
at
fucking
football,
way.
right?
Or even take the thousandth best a League of Legends player right now. Is any speedrunner as good as this guy? There's
Maybe
a good chance no. Like there's a really it's a maybe. Like it's a maybe. I mean,
it's not that big of a hobby. Yeah.
yeah, like well, actually, if you look at speedrun.com, there's like a million users. So I could see some arguments to say like, oh, yes, well, technically, I mean, but yeah, like there's just not that many. Like people play League of Legends more too. You can play 10 times the hours of League of Legends. It's hard to play 10,000 hours in Link to the Past. And most people say they have 5 or 10,000 hours. I don't think it's true. Like it's hard to play 100 hours of this game. Like it's easy to play 100 hours of League of Legends. That's a week. You could do that in a week. People do that all the time in a week, like professional players. I mean, 100 hours in a League of the Past, that could be a month. Like if I play 120 hours in a month, that's a lot. And maybe 160 with like my best months with practicing or 200, but it's not reliable. It's in League, it's like people have 50,000 hours. People who
Maybe,
are
yeah.
bad at the game have 50,000 hours. Like yeah, like
That's true.
yeah, like so you take the like top 1,000 player in LOL or whatever other arbitrarily large competitive game. Um yeah, are we as good? Is anybody as good? Maybe. I have no idea. It's a good question. That's a really good question. I'd like to get there one day, but at least we could argue that movement optimization and gameplay optimization, we can argue in a vacuum philosophical truth. At least we can do that because I think those are viable. Anyway, I'm probably talking too much, but I think Green Suiji, I think he would compete with like top professional players. I think he could. Like
Yeah.
if you tweaked reality and he was a League of Legends player, I think he'd be a top player for sure. I think that guy's just like he's completely insane. And I've seen other speedrunners that are like I think Zelda has a similar like um what do you call it? Like history resume. He has a similar resume where
Mm.
he's just like super dominant, super skilled, super intuitive.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think
actually I
Zelda's
don't
an
think
extraordinarily talented speedrunner.
yeah, like yeah. And actually like I don't mean to talk about myself, but because I think I'm mechanically horrible at League to Pass, and I always have been. I'm not very good at focusing. Mechanically, I'm just bad at the game. But I have a knack for movement optimization. Like I have a really good knack for like breaking the room down and then finding the best way to do that in a real time run. I'm really good at that, and it's kind of why I love doing these ROM hacks because that's what a ROM hack is. It's like
Right.
you do a no reset run, You can't. I mean, dude, some of the ROM hacks I was playing, you can't even practice them. Like, I was trying to practice Conker's Bad for or Conker's Hyrule
Hyrule
Tail.
Tail.
Yeah, you can't even practice it. The game saver crashes. Like, that's like, yeah, okay. I guess I could practice it on emulator, but I'm
Right.
not playing on emulator. But yeah. So that game, I had to get world record completely off, no reset runs, and like, being able to optimize rooms and optimize the game like completely on the fly like that. I think I have a talent. I have a knack for that. I definitely have a talent for that. So that's something that I actually think I have a unique talent for that, like in all of gaming. But I think I'm horrible at the game. I think I'm horrible at League of Pass mechanically. I think I've always been like that. I think I'm by far the worst top player. I think if
Interesting.
1,000 new people started playing League of Pass tomorrow, I would be an average runner.
Hmm.
Um, I think Zelda would still be a top runner. I think I'd average runner 100%. But I think I'd be so good at optimizing movement that it would like kind of carry me. You see that in League actually, and like you see that in Melee too, where like in League of Legends, some players are not good mechanically at the game; they're just bad at the game. But they're like so smart. They're so smart on the map. They like dominate the map. They like completely. They're like the star player. They like run the game. I was like that when I played League of Legends. Actually, it was the same thing. It was like I was very good at macro stuff. I was very good at running the map, and like that's why I played support because it was like I could run the map and I could focus on the map and focus on like objectives and like okay, we need to do dragon here, and then we're gonna if anybody goes to the right side of the map, we're go mid or baron, whatever. It's easy stuff, but like
I don't know anything about League, so sorry.
I was very very good at the macro game. I
Okay.
was horrible at the mechanical stuff. I was just trash at it.
Interesting.
So I think a lot of that's translated to League of Pass. It's like I'm just horrible at the mechanics, and then the macro game, I am, especially since 2017. It's like I think I'm the best player. Still, I think I still have the best in the League of Pass. I have the best like room by room. If you just looked at room by room in real time, I think my run is the fastest still by anyone. I still think so, but I haven't played that game seriously in 4 years.
Yeah.
So, but I think I just have an edge there. I just have an edge there, So that's what I think.
Okay.
And some people are going to disagree, but what are you good at? I'm curious. I'm more curious about you as a speedrunner. I know it's like I'm the guest or whatever, but what are you good at League to Pass? Like, what's your like?
I don't think I'm very good at Link to Past. I mean, I don't have that good of a time. I feel weird saying that. People, when you're a top 10 player, people yell at you when you're too humble. But I don't know. I think I'm pretty medium throughout.
Like, what dungeon? What's your worst dungeon and like best dungeon?
My worst dungeon? I mean, I guess GT, maybe Escape.
Really?
I still don't have a sub 7 GT.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. Dude,
Yeah.
I got a 648 GT when I had a 123.32.
Yeah.
And that was a harder 123.32
Is that Backrash
than
or
what
Landon?
you have. Like we had less time available.
Yeah.
So, and I had a 48, and that was like a miracle GT, but that's crazy. That is crazy if you don't have a sub 7.
Yeah. No, I don't know. If I'm good at anything, it's just kind of like not losing my mind, I guess. Just like
Yeah, but there's got to be something. Like you're mechanically saving time. Like where are you saving time? Like what is carrying you? Like what about Thieves Town or Swamp or T Rock maybe?
my T-Rocks were pretty good on my
Yeah,
last grind,
I
I
thought
guess. But no, I mean it's all just like having fine splits everywhere, basically. I'm
What's
not
your,
getting like 635 TRs. I'm just like getting 639 TRs enough to just like get runs limping over the finish line.
Wait, so what's the route? What route do you do?
You mean like where do I get shopping items?
Yeah, either in that's the route differentiation. Link to Pass.
Let me send you my splits. You can just take
Okay,
a
yeah,
look.
I'm into this. This is what I want to see. Let's check this out.
I get Ether and Swamp and Ice Rod and TR.
Oh, these are good looking spins. I'm gonna do a run analysis for you right now.
Okay.
Yeah, escape is 552. I'm guessing you don't do the good escape timing when you leave the door.
No, I don't. I
right,
don't have a 549. My goal's a 550.
I'll forgive you. Yeah, that's fine. But dude, screw escape. Escape is not relevant until you get a 123.
Yeah.
0x. It's literally irrelevant. Like I think once you do get like a really low 123, it actually starts to matter. Like if you get a 552 escape, you're like, I lost 4 seconds. That's like a lot of time.
Yeah.
But at your level, I don't think it's just not relevant. But yeah, I guess escape's kind of slow. 4:55 Eastern. I don't remember what if that's good. That's pretty good actually. Yeah, that makes up for the escape.
Yeah.
What's your sum of best? Oh, your sum of best is probably tight.
It's not that good.
Like 23. Was it like 22:30?
I don't know. I don't know what my sum of best is. I can find it.
Well, whatever. If you find it, let me know. I'm guessing it's 22:30, or because if you seem to be
Probably.
like a consistency runner, which is cool. I mean, this is why I think you consistency runners are better than we were in
Yeah, no, it's
2013
even
and
worse. It's a
2020.
122.42. Awful.
Wow, yeah, that's wild. That is crazy. Back like that's really good. No, like that's like exceptional. Um yeah, back in 20 like 14 for example, because I think 2014 was like the peak of everybody from 2013 was still playing in 2014, and then we also had a new runner. So like I think it was like the peak. But yeah, back then like you were 2 minutes away. I was like 3 minutes away a lot of the time. Nobody was a minute away. Like the reason I thought Downtown Death was cheating because his sum of best was a minute away from his PB.
Wow.
It's just it's just
Yeah,
possible.
yeah.
It's impossible.
The
It's
faster
not.
you get closer to your sum of best. But yeah, my sum of best is the worst of all the 123s. Except I've got the spreadsheet up here. FSG has a worse sum of best, but I don't think his sum of best is real because
Yeah,
he wasn't running
no,
with
it's not.
splits most of the time.
Yeah, it's not. No, well, it's a good thing to be close to your sum of best. It means you're like overperforming, and I think you're overperforming because you're consistent. It's cool. I think it was Buane or Dow. Can't remember. I think it was Dow or Dow TMB.
Yeah,
He got like a run that was like plus 50 on some of best.
yeah,
Like
crazy
a
run.
24:03, I think.
Uh, no, oh one,
24:07.
oh one.
Oh, 24, yeah, 24:01. So
Yeah,
he got that run. That was kind of like the very first time. I think that's when I realized that like the community shifted and it was like, okay, everybody's doing safe strats now and everybody plays safe and everybody like nobody's gambling on every strat anymore.
yeah,
Because that was impossible a few years earlier. It's just impossible. Now it's like yeah, and it's like I mean, you're an example of this. But yeah, I think what's happening is you're overperforming. Dow is overperforming, like, and to your advantage, like to your credit, it's a good thing. So yeah, I mean, I don't think you can see it in your splits. Because you're right. I think a lot of your splits are like, huh, these are just average. Like Meyer is good. 531 in the PB is really good. I mean, your end game's like 7 seconds off your sum of best. That's really good.
yeah.
Yeah, your T Rock I would say is better. T Rock Meyer. 606 Desert's good. Was that a 3 cycle or a 2 cycle?
I don't remember.
Okay, it's probably. I'm guessing it's a 2 cycle just based on the other splits. Like a slow 2 cycle, or maybe it was an early 3 cycle.
Yeah,
That
well,
makes sense. Maybe
gotta be
it's
one
an
of
early
those.
3 cycle. Yeah, plus 6. It's probably an early 3 cycle. But yeah, I like Ice Palace. That's another split that's good. But it's interesting because Ice Palace is usually a high reset split.
Is a
Same with Throw
614
Rock.
ice good? Are you sure?
Yeah, I think so. Compared to the other splits, I would say so.
Okay.
Like Hera is probably the worst segment.
Yeah, Hera's very bad.
527, yeah, and GT 705 GT is not bad.
No,
Ganon's
it's
good.
fine.
151 Ganon's good.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
Ganon's just
GT
RNG, so whatever.
right. Tell that to some people. No,
Well, no, I mean, but sure, but I've practiced it enough that it's just RNG.
I think so. Swamp Palace is weird because I think 747 Swamp Palace is like for your standards. I think it's okay, but in my opinion, it's not very good.
No,
But I
that's
don't
not
know.
good. It's basically
It's,
just fine and missed a 0 cycle.
yeah, exactly. But that's what's hard. So like, I don't want to judge that. It's like you kind of have to judge that differently, especially if you get either during that split. It's really hard.
Yeah.
So I don't want to judge that too much. Like I don't want to unfairly judge it. So yeah, that's interesting, man. That's really interesting. Who else is around the top? Who else who has a 123 around there? Who like what is your opinion of the other 123 runners, I guess? Or like who do you think is the next guy to get a 123?
The next player to get a 123, it depends on who actually puts the time in. Awase kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, he's like the next guy, right?
Well, he already got it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this
I
in the
missed
weekly actually this week.
this week. Okay, I gotta
Yeah.
check that. I missed it.
So Awase just got it. I
Well,
was
it's like-
expecting Relkin probably to get a
Yeah,
123 if he ever just like does a bunch of runs. He's like doing other stuff. He plays rando and he was like playing a bunch of casual Wind Waker and Majora's
Yeah.
Mask and stuff. So he's not really grinding, but he'll probably get it if he goes for it. Oh, there was somebody else that I always bring up that I'm forgetting right now. Bidey maybe if he goes for
Yeah,
it.
if he did runs, he like never does runs.
No, he's been doing other stuff for the past I don't know
He's
year
got
and
a
a
life.
half.
Buddy's one of the guys that like. Okay, I have to be honest. I hate to say this because I had nothing against the guy. He like he like disavowed me or whatever when I was trolling earlier this year, which I'm not gonna get on his case about it because I don't think he's wrong, but I think he's one of the guys that he refuses to acknowledge that I exist anymore. But we were good friends for like 5 years. We were like really good friends.
Really?
No, I don't think I'm trying to take it personally, but yeah, he has so much going on in his life. It's like I don't expect him to grind the game all day. Like he has a
Right.
family, he has a job, he has a house. It's like, okay, well, if he takes a month off or 6 months off, it's like a break. But yeah, I think he could get a 123 too.
Yeah. I think those are the most likely guys to like both who have the ability, like are close and have the ability, and might
Okay.
like actually go for it.
Yeah, who are like somewhat active. Who's besides them though? Who do you think's good at like in the current community that's like motivated and on top of things and like, trying to get better? Because like to me it's retro and coin chaser.
I was gonna say retro, yeah. There's some newer runners who like don't have good times yet, but have been improving. Like Two Stop has like he just
Yeah,
PB'd
he's
today,
classic.
but he's got like a 132 or whatever.
Yeah,
So
he's a shoe in.
just depends on how much time he dedicates to the game, I guess.
I know that Concision guy. I see him here and there. He seems really motivated. Like
Well, he's a Z1 guy now. He left us. He's grinding Z. He's playing a bunch of Z1. Yeah, I don't know if he'll come back, but he was making gains. I don't know if you were around. Where's the money? Meowski sort of
yeah.
went off like a lightning bolt, and then life caught up with him, and he hasn't played for a while. But
Okay,
he
yeah.
got good really fast, and then took world record in most of the boss RTAs.
Right, right. He's gonna have those. I'm never playing those.
Yeah, yeah. Not a lot of active. Not a lot of people super close to like the high
Yeah,
level.
right. We need
Scruple's been playing again. He's got like a high 124. He was on
yeah, he's
pace
good. I like him.
for
He's
like a
good.
mid
I actually
124
think
recently.
he's really good. I think if he was 19 and he had nothing to do, I think he would be really good.
I think he has
Like that's
a pretty high talent base. Yeah, but I'm gonna
yeah,
cut
like I
that
think
comment. He can't hear me say that.
the problem with the current crop of runners in like the past is we're all like 30. We all have too much going on in our life. Like
Yeah.
that's the real issue.
Faker
Like if we
Jr.
had what's that?
You know Faker Jr.
Yeah, he's young, right? He's like 19 or something.
He's young and he's been improving real fast. He got like a
Yeah,
low
he's good too. I like him.
115
He
or
actually
125.
has I tied his PB. No, he beat my PB in actually no. He played a ROM hack. He played a ROM hack, so I beat his time in a ROM hack. And then I beat his time in vanilla rando, I think like today. So
Mhm.
I'm trying to cut him a bit. Yeah, he's like the one young runner that's like, okay, that's like, I think it's like he's not even that young, right? He's
No,
not
he
really.
is. I think he's like I don't know. I shouldn't really
Oh,
say,
he
but
might actually be like 19. Okay,
I
yeah.
think he's like a teenager. Yeah.
Well, Faker played League of Legends.
Well, Faker Jr.'s father is named Faker, who is a Link to the Past player. That's why it's Faker Jr.
Oh, no way. Dude,
I don't
no
think
way.
he's named after the League of Legends Faker. I think he's named after his
dad
father,
plays-
named Faker.
His
Yeah.
dad plays League of Past. No way, dude.
Yeah.
That blows my mind. He's better than his dad, though.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. So yeah, Name Faker and Faker Jr. were both on one of the leaderboards I played, and I beat both of them. That's crazy. That blows my mind. Yeah, they're both German. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. I thought he was named after Faker, the League of Legends
Yeah.
player, and he's like trying to be really good at League of Legends, but no, it's dude. So back in the day when like 50% of the League of Pass players were just kind of playing for fun, or like they were just doing it for fun, like they didn't care, or like for their stream, and then like maybe like 10% of runners, or like 20, or maybe like 20 or 30% of runners were like super try hard, practice everything, want to get world record. They only care about like super like grungy, like grimy. You don't get that anymore. There are no grimy like practice monsters in like the past anymore. I've never seen any of them. Like that's what it's missing. We're missing those like grimy practice monsters. Like who is that guy? Like who is the guy right now that's just grinding Link to Pass practice all day and like is gonna get a crazy PB eventually? Who's that guy? Where is the guy? You know?
I don't know. People do
Yeah, is
runs
there
now.
anybody like that?
People do runs, man.
Like back in the day, it like 50% of the community was like that. It was so fun to watch. It was like you'd have guys who are like minus a minute every day, and every run would die. Every day minus a minute. It's so entertaining. But yeah, I miss that because like I kind of miss like the highs, like people trying to get world record or people trying to get like something that really is groundbreaking. Like imagine if a new runner got fourth place. I think I'm in fourth place, right? Or am I in third place?
Eddie, Airy,
Yeah, I think I'm in
WQ,
third place. How am I in
Donna.
third place, dude? I don't even understand that, but I'm never getting the better PB than that. I'll never get a better run than that. So people can beat my, although I'm not even on the boards, but people can beat my time as much as you want. Like I think people should, but that'll be a milestone. I think that'll be a good milestone to beat because I don't think I'll ever change that. But and it's pretty good. I mean, if the current category really is frozen, which it is clearly frozen. I think that it's still hard to beat. Like I don't think that will ever be easy to beat, unless like 30 years from now, and like a million people played or something. Like I think if 10,000 new people started playing League of Pass tomorrow, they were all really try hard. Um, I think you would get a 122.20 or a 122 1x. I legit think one of those would happen.
Yeah.
Legit, but I think right now we have like there are I would say two try hard runners right now. One of them's not even active in NMG from what I understand. And historically,
But
there's
who are
been
the
four try hard
two?
runners. Ari and Eddie,
Oh. Yeah, Airy's not really
like
playing
NMG runs.
NMG anymore.
And historically there've only ever been four. Actually, I would say Pinkus was historically try hard, but there's only been four or five. Again, only one guy is active right now. So it's like the statistical odds. I mean, there would be so much discovered and like little things that would be advanced. I think you could get a 122 1x or I mean in some miracle a 122 121 in some miracle
I think
ultimately.
121 is humanly possible. I don't know if enough human
I think
effort
so.
will ever be thrown at the game to reach it, but
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah,
limiting factor in
assuming
my
nothing
opinion.
changes. Assuming nothing changes. Yeah, cuz I mean I think you're right. I agree. Um, but yeah, assuming it's truly frozen and like nothing new comes in and like only tiny stuff. Yeah, I think that it's just at best you see a 22-29. That is not reasonable right now. I think so it's weird because my 123.09, why it was such a good run is it could have been a 22-39, like pretty reasonably. I mean, it wasn't ridiculous. Like you know, a
Right.
few different things. Yeah, like a few screens went differently. It would have been a like a 4 or 5 4-3. It's not that far from a 39. That was in 2019. So
Yeah.
I think if you got a 122.39 right now, it's like okay, yeah, it happened. I think if you just stretched it, you could get a 29. But
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I agree.
Eddie's PB, he could be minus 20 because his PB is horrible at the beginning. You could be minus 20 on his PB. In fact, it's actually pretty easy to be minus 20 on his PB. Um, it's just his end game's really good, so it's like kind of not reasonable. But yeah, it's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, I wonder if we'll ever see another grinder in the League to Pass, or like when the next like real grinder. I know you play every day or whatever, so
Well, not
that's
anymore, but yeah, I
talking to
was
you.
for a while. Yeah, I don't know. I expect we will, but who knows?
Can I ask you how much do you practice? Like,
So when I was playing the game, so for the first, I don't know, year and a half or something, when I was from starting until I sort of like leveled off, plateaued or whatever, my
yeah,
normal routine was I would do about an hour to an hour and a half of practice and then a run, which would take, depending on how many times it took me to start it, 1.5 to 2 hours. So on a normal night, I'd put in like 3 to 3.5 hours of gameplay, about half practice, about half doing a run.
okay,
And
yeah,
I would be doing that 4-ish, 5 days a week, something like that. And
oh
then
wow,
as the better I got, the more the balance tipped in favor of doing less practice. Just because
yeah,
like
really,
you just need to do more runs. I think at a certain point you kind of know what you're doing, and you just have to like get better at putting it together. Or at least that's how it was
uh-huh.
for me. So
I kind
like
of
in
think,
my most recent grind, I would do like 20 or 30 minutes of warm up, but I wasn't really like learning new things about rooms that often. Like sometimes I
yeah,
would, or like sometimes I would change a strat or like, but it would just be like, I failed this room 2 runs in a row. That means I need to fix it. So I would like focus on that and then like warm up, mimics and warm up Ganon and warm up Lambo or whatever, and then just like do a run. That's generally my schedule.
when I did, okay, random tangent because I was gonna ask you another question, but when I would watch my VODs, like I would just do a run and then watch it. I watched like probably like 50 videos. Every single video I watched, I learned something new about the game. Every single one, and it blew my
I
mind
believe it. Yeah.
like
I've never
50
been
times in a
willing
row.
to do that. I know it's
It's
valuable,
hard.
but I've never been
It's
willing to do it.
really hard. It's hard. I don't do it anymore because it's not worth it. But like,
Yeah.
it blew my mind every time. But anyway, I was gonna ask, like, what kind of practice do you do? Like, how do you do practice?
Almost exclusively room practice. I've never liked segment grinding. Um, but it's just like rooms where either I know that I need to fix or I know that I don't like something about it, or just rooms where
Oh,
like
okay.
you need to be like something like Cypher Mimics or Hammer Jump or rooms like that that have to be really precise. You just need to hammer those a billion times. And so
Yes.
like I don't practice hammer jump anymore, but there was like a long period where I would just spend 10 minutes doing hammer jumps over and over and over again, and like now I can do hammer jump.
Yeah.
But you just need to just throw a shit ton of hours at it, I think.
Wait. So you said you did room times? Is that what you said?
Yeah, a lot of room
What do you mean
practice.
by that? Like, just
Like
curious.
go to a room in the practice hack and just do it, 10, 20 times.
Like, are you trying to get better room times or just trying to like just do repetitions?
It's a combination.
Huh.
Some of it is exploratory and some of it is just like actual practice.
Weird.
So some of it is like uh, trying to make sure I'm doing. So you need to sort of like experiment with the room to find out how fast you can go, and then you need to experiment pulling it back until you hit a satisfactory success threshold. So like if I can get a 459 pod mimics, but I can only get it 70% of the time, then that's useless. And so then I need to slow it down and change how I do it until I can get a 508 pod mimics 95% of the time, and then I need to practice that way of doing it until I can do it in runs. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
really.
Something like
That's
that.
crazy. You see, when I did practice, I kind of like the exploratory thing because, like, I've kind of given up. Like, one reason I don't practice, I literally haven't practiced Link to Pass seriously in like, I mean, like it's like 6 years or
Yeah.
probably about 5 years. But like, one of the problems is I discovered that like when I practice some things like hammer jump or mold arm Orlando, it's like I'm altering my muscle memory, and so I'm not improving anything. I'm just altering. I'm just changing things, and like if you like, I okay, my best I ever did is like I did a hammer bomb jump. I got the first pixel 11 runs in a row, like which is really good. I mean, because that's the whole trick.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's like outrageous. Like that's not right, but it's like if I'm doing that, I don't want to practice that strat because I
Yeah.
might change something. I don't want to change anything. It's like I want this to be exactly the same.
Yep.
So it's like I didn't want to practice, and like there was a lot of things that I didn't want to practice. I wanted to not practice and avoid, and I wanted to do yeah exactly the same thing. But I think it's a problem because if you don't practice for like years on end, it does slightly add up. And Eddie's a good example of a guy who practices like Eastern Palace every day, and his Eastern Palace is really good. Like his
Yeah.
Eastern Palace is better than mine. It's certainly better than mine. Every other split he does, I think there's some wiggle room. Like either I'm a little bit better, or he's a little bit better, or like maybe on a good day. But he's distinctly better than me in Eastern Palace, and it's like I think it's just from practicing it every single day and doing light rolls every single day. And it's like I got kind of lazy on that. I got kind of lazy on doing repetitions. Um, Way back in the day when I would practice, there was a really clear gap between me and the best player. And so it was I could always learn something. I was always motivated to learn something. Like one time I spent a whole month in Ganon's Tower and it was like a lot of it was exploring. It was like exploring the game. Okay, what's the better stuff for mimics? What's the better stuff for this and that and this? And it's just like I revamped all of Gan's Tower, and then I revamped all of Palace of Darkness, and I revamped all of Skullwoods, and it's like constantly changing things and finding new things, and it's like I don't know. At some point, it just settled. It's
Yeah.
all settled, and it's the same every run. And yeah, I kind of miss it when it was exploring new things because you're at a skill level where you have a really good foundation for the game, but it's like, how do you get faster at the run? Like I don't think your run is like obviously in your run, I mean your consistency is top notch. It's like, well, how do you get your run faster? Because like you're losing minutes. You're losing about a minute. Actually, yeah, you're losing about a minute in fundamental speed.
Hmm.
From your sum of best and from your PB. It's like fundamentally based on speed, you're losing about a minute. Now you
Yeah.
could argue it's 50 seconds or 40 or whatever, but it looks like about a minute. And it's like where
Yeah.
because your PB is near perfect. I think like your PB is near perfect, it looks like. I don't think you're gonna improve that.
No, if I want to
Where do you think that is?
if I want to get better at the game, I'm gonna go through the whole game again, change, look at every screen and
Oh, really?
figure out what to change. Yeah,
What do you think? Like, do you think there's something more general or like more specific or like?
I don't know. I think a lot of it is that I haven't looked at the game with fresh eyes since
Oh
getting a lot
yeah,
better. I think that I could pick up a lot of small things across the course of the
yeah,
run.
yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I don't want to do it right here, but I do kind of want to look at your run and like, the whole PB review thing. I don't want to say I started that, but I'm pretty sure I did the first PB reviews before anyone else ever did them.
Really? Who'd you do it for?
Well, I used to do those all the time. Well, actually, that's not true, but I used to do VOD reviews all the time, like all the time. Like I'd analyze my own runs, and
Oh, your
then,
own. Oh, yeah.
well, I would analyze other runs too. Like if I started a new category, I'd always watch world record, and then I do on stream, and then all the tasks, I would always watch those on stream and possibly frame advance. Like, okay, what's really going on? Um, I think I did a few PB reviews for other people, but I'm not sure if I did. But yeah, I feel like on some level I started that. But it's cool that people do that. But I was critical because I think so originally why I started doing that is because 2015 I look at every one of Zelda's golds and I compared it frame by frame to every one of my splits in my PB, and I learned a crap ton about the game.
I bet.
And I would compare every room of the golds, and I did this for every room. And like I did it for like 7 different dungeons, and then I started to like my brain started to change, but I learned a lot of like fundamental things about movement and I do, yeah, it just like when you see things in frame advance, it's just different. It's a very different game, and that's what's happens in runs. It's the same thing. It's just you can't see it, like you can't see it in 60 FPS, and
Right.
even watching a VOD of it, it's very difficult. But when you slow it down, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute. But yeah, so I used to do that a lot, and then it's like, and then I started doing the VOD reviews, and then I started, and then everybody started doing these PB reviews, and I think technically somebody else did PB reviews before I ever did any, but and I'm not trying to take credit because it just sounds stupid, but the point is that I was critical of PB reviews specifically because I don't think you really learn anything from somebody's PB because they did everything correctly. It's like
Well,
where do
yeah.
they yeah,
You can
where do they do things
still
incorrectly?
learn a lot because like I got a PB review of a mid 125 of mine from DoomTap, who was I think already a 123 runner.
Yeah.
Um, and like I did, mid 125 is not that good of a run, right? I made plenty of mistakes that were clear to myself, but a lot of it was him telling me things that I did. I did what I tried to do the way I was trying to do it, and what I was trying to do was just not the right thing to be doing.
Oh,
Um,
really?
so it can be very useful for pointing out that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder if I think a lot of I'm guessing, I have no idea because I've never watched you, but sorry to say that.
Oh, fine.
But
Not worried about it.
um I'm guessing a lot of it is in like micro movement stuff, nudging corners, text boxes, exiting text boxes, which is huge. A lot of people lose time on that. And then I don't know. I wonder what else. Probably like maybe like what strats do you think you do that are like slow or like wrong?
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry if it's like stressing you out.
No,
I
it's
just
not
feel like
stressing me out. I don't really have a good answer to it. I haven't been playing much lately, and
it's true. Yeah, yeah.
we're a little bit far off of the point of doing this podcast. So um,
Okay.
maybe we can we can chat about that another time. If you want to do a PV
Okay.
review, you can
I'm just
do
curious.
a
Yeah,
VOD
I'm just
review of
curious.
it.
Sorry. I
No,
get to like.
no, it's all good. Um,
Well, I guess the reason I ask, like the reason I'm curious is because like, yeah, I just the game has changed so much in the past.
yeah.
Like
Well, yeah.
from like 2022 to like 2018, it's like a totally different game, and like it's weird to see why and like how people are totally different in the current mindset, the current motivation, practice habits, practice schedules, stream schedules, like stream habits, um, just all of it. It's night and day. It's like completely different, and I don't know if that's even true. Like, I don't know how many other games have like radically changed. Like, why? Why did it change? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? What is bad about it? What is good about it? So yeah, I have a vested interest in that. So I guess that's why I asked. But
Yeah. So okay, to go a different direction in this. But one thing that I did want to ask you about was I brought this up at the very beginning a little bit, but you rebranded recently.
Oh
You've
yeah.
sort of alluded to this a little bit. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? What inspired
Yeah.
that? You've sort of said it sound you're I lurk your streams sometimes, and
Right.
you were, as you said, trolling earlier this year, and you appear to have rebranded both your name and also your vibe quite radically. Can I maybe share a little bit why you went that direction, or why you decided to make that change?
Yeah, actually, it's a good reason. And a lot of the why I call it trolling, because honestly, I'm not 100% sure it's trolling, but like, it's like I do frequently stream for like a week or a month, and then I quit streaming for like a year, and then I'll start streaming again. Same with YouTube, and like, so I used to have this persona, and I had this audience, and I had this like motivation, and then I quit streaming, and then like basically I started streaming again. So I did stream briefly for a month in December, 2022, but then I started streaming again, and it's like I just quit my job. I need temporary income. So like my main goal is like, okay, I need to make temporary income.
Hmm.
I'm in school right now, so it's like I don't want to get another job when I'm like, technically I'm employed by the school as well. So it's like awkward to like get another job. It just seems awkward to me. So I was like, okay, I'll just stream for like some temporary income. So it's like it felt like it was like my muscle memory was just kicking in. I did it for like probably about a month or like 3 weeks, and I kept changing things, and then like I don't know, I didn't like it. I just didn't feel like I was like I don't like if I really thought about it, I don't want to do this. Like I just don't really like it. I don't want to do it. And unfortunately, it's like, well, my audience expects me to do that. My audience wants me to do that. I mean, I like making content. Like that was my goal when I started streaming again in March is like was to make content. It was to make people laugh or smile or like be interested or be or be angry, be mad at me. I mean, that was a lot of my content back in the day. So it was just like, let's just start back up. But then a month goes by and I'm like, well, this kind of is weird and it's awkward. And there were other issues, and the big issue, and the reason I like, rebranded, and I don't really consider it a rebrand, but I mean, it is obviously, yeah, because I'm in school and I meet people, and they're like, "Hey, what's your stream? That's awesome," or "What's your YouTube channel?" And it's like, I can't tell them WQ is my name. Like, yeah, they just look
Yeah.
at me like,
How
"What?"
many Qs is that?
Right? It was
Yeah.
weird. I mean, it was always weird. And like when I used to play League of the Past, I was at such a degenerate level that I did not care. I had no friends. I didn't care. I didn't want friends. I didn't care about people, relationships. Didn't care about anything. I only care about the game. So like my main name didn't matter. Reputation didn't matter. None of that mattered. So that's not the case anymore. It's just completely not the case. So it's like, after a month, it's like, okay, well, let's be realistic about this. It's like I can't have this as my name. And a lot of this trolling and goofing off and just meme shit. This can work, but it needs to work in a controlled environment, or it needs to work in the right environment. It's like this is like Twitch is the wrong environment for that stuff. Secondly, like a branded stream around me that's like a personal stream, it's just not a good idea. It's just a bad idea. So yeah, it's just like, okay, let's just nuke all that. Let's completely nuke it. And then I needed a name, so I just like used my name and then like changed it slightly,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I might change the name because I honestly don't like it. So I might change the name, but yeah, the point is, it's like, okay, we just need to like start over. Now I did that until July, and then it was too hot in my room, and I just got kind of, yeah, I just got kind of like, I don't know, like burned out, I guess, or like I started working like part time, and I was making more money doing that than streaming. So it's like, why am I streaming for income if I make like 5 times as much money doing part time work? And then the heat it was like 100 degrees every day. So I just said, I just kind of gave up on that. So like I started doing these ROM hacks. Like this is like a month ago, and I've had so much fun doing these ROM hacks. And I met Letterbomb and a lot of the ROM hacking crew, and they were really really cool. I like really like him. I actually highly recommend get Letterbomb on your show because he's good. He's really smart. He's young. He's like 19 or 20. Loves ROM hacking, and I think most of the Link to the Past community has no idea who this guy is. He's like really on top of things. So yeah, he's sick. And then yeah, all they're cool. All the guys, Scoffle, Jared Bryan. I played one of his hacks, and there's a Zarby. I mean, Zarby made Z Scream. Like these guys are awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, this is my community. Like this is my community, man. Like in the League of the Past community, I never fit in. I never connected. I never melded. There was issues, either political issues, personal issues, issues on my end. Other people were jealous of me. I mean, people were. They don't. Nobody wants to admit it, but people were. There was always issues, and it's like, yeah. Then the category leaderboard issue totally divided me, and it like stripped me from the game. I don't play the game anymore. I like straight up don't. See, all these issues happen, and it's like, well, I feel at home at the ROM. I feel at home in the ROM hacking community. I feel like a part of something. I feel like connected. I feel valuable. I feel like I can say hi to people. I never felt that once in like the past community, and so it's like I just no pressure. I think a lot of people in the League of the Past community understand that like there's not many hard. There were a few people that were like deliberately targeting me. Like Downtown Death was like deliberately targeting me. A few of his friends were like always like like cyberbullying me or like saying like really just rude, mean comments, rude comments, trying to cancel me unfairly. I mean, you could cancel people fairly, just unfairly trying to cancel me. There were a few people doing that stuff. By and large, in like mass community, I do think it was just like stray missiles hitting people they weren't really intended to hit, and I don't think it was it wasn't intentional on both sides. So I don't. I think a lot of people understand that, and like I don't really care negatively. I have nothing negative to say about most of these people. But the point is that yeah, I think the rebranding was it's just a really good opportunity to like, hey, let's forget about the past. I can be myself. I'm 32 now. I'm not. I started the game. I was 20 years old. Like I'm 32. I can just be a 32-year-old me in the public. People can watch me stream that, know me in real life. I can actually network myself on Twitch. I can say hi to you. I mean, it's easier for me to get on your podcast. Like I can say hi to you, stuff like that. It's a lot easier.
I'm
Back
excited
in
to
the
find out
day,
how people react to having you on
yeah,
here.
I agree. I mean, I totally agree. But
I think that some people will be unhappy that I had you on, but whatever.
I think so too. Yeah, shoot. I'm a bit overbearing too. I'm sure you understand. I'm a bit overbearing, especially in this game. I've always been like this. Where I'm way too overbearing and like yeah, some people don't like it or it just doesn't function well or like I mean realistically I should have been a leaderboard moderator the whole way through, but it was never going to happen because Crystal was always in charge of that and she was always running the show. And then when things transitioned, I always had really bad relationships with people and then things
Right.
got worse and I've
Well,
always,
yeah. As you've said
oh,
several times, you were not trying to have positive relationships with people.
yeah, exactly. You can't be a moderator, but it's like my brain works like a moderator. Like I like verifying runs. I like watching runs. Like I had a leaderboard. I had my own leaderboard of Link to Past that had every run on it. Every run ever done of Link to Past publicly from like 2013 to 2015. I recorded on a spreadsheet.
Wow.
It's like every single run, even casually, if there's a timer, and it was part of the MG rule set. It's like that's I obviously should be a moderator, but yeah, like socially it wasn't ever gonna happen. But so yeah, I forgot why I say that, but point is like yeah, it just evolved and but I like the randomizer. I like the ROM hacking community. I really feel like fit in and like I like Link's Blast ROM hacks a lot. They're really fun. So yeah, I guess I've been rambling too long. I completely forgot the point of the question. Oh yeah, the people aren't gonna like me. I mean, it is what it is. I understand. Like I think it's easier to just yeah, it just was a reset. Like a lot of it was just a reset, like a reset and an update. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to me
There's a lot.
it seemed like you were, and I apologize in advance if this is, I don't know, putting the wrong thing on you, but to me it seemed like you were trying to be a certain kind of sort of like shock jock, almost like
Yeah,
personality type.
exactly.
You were sort of trying to maximize controversy and so on in order to like, you know, piss people off and get people talking or whatever. And it seems like you've sort of shed that and are just maybe trying to play Zelda now.
Well, the other thing is I'm a math student. I
Yeah.
love math, and my name is Googleable. It's barely Googleable, but like because I never put my real name out there, but it is Googleable because a few things that happened. So if you Google my name, you can find my content. Well, it's like if I'm applying to jobs or like I'm at a very liberal school. Those two things don't mesh. And then like the truth about my political opinions. And we all have our own political opinions, but it's like they're not that like I value people over that kind of stuff. And if you look at the Link to Past community, it was never about politics. There was always a divide before politics. Like the political thing was always just yeah, it was always a piggyback. It's always piggybacking on the actual core fundamental problem. So that yeah, that that was easy to like shed. I think I don't think it was like yeah, a lot of it was shock and jock stuff. Well, what happened in 2018 was originally just speedrunning content, and it was just like goofy for fun content, like when I made vlogs. And then my channel like was slowing down, and I made a few videos on Games on Quick, and they got a ton of views. And if you know much about Games on Quick, the videos that do well on it usually are criticizing it politically. So like half of my channel just became okay, well, time to talk about politics. If I don't talk about politics, I don't get views. And it was just annoying. And like it slowly morphed into that. And what happened was it just didn't care in 2019 and 2020. I just didn't care. Yeah, I had no reason to care. And so like it was easy to talk about that stuff. But nowadays it's like, well, wait a minute. First of all, talking about this stuff is really bad. I mean, it's not good. It's actually I think bad for speedrunning on both sides. Like if you look at Trihex, he used to be a very popular streamer. He's like basically a mid size or a small size um speedrunning content creator. Like he gets like 140 views per stream. He's very political, but he's very political on on one side, and I'm on the other side. You could say so. It's like I don't even think it's a. I don't think it was which side you're on. I think just like telling people these political stuff in a gaming environment is harmful. It's harmful to the stream. People don't want to hear it in general. Not fun. And I don't really have a vested interest in politics. I don't research it. I don't know much about it. I can't defend my opinions on most of it. It's like yeah, some speedrun some streamers can. They are very invested in that,
Sure.
right? And they'll defend their points and they research it and they research debate and they like know the history. And it's like I don't know that crap. I'm mostly interested in Link to the Past. Like actually, I think my stream would be successful if I didn't do a Link to the Past stuff. If I did any other game, or if I did like the Jeopardy shows I was doing that were a lot of fun. I always had more interaction than that. Link to the Past, I get no interaction. It's usually dead. So, but it's just I'm so interested in it. It's like I only care about it. Like ideally, a fantastic stream for me is playing 10 hours of A Link to the Past, nobody talking. Or if people want to talk, go for it. But like, it just doesn't. It has no relevance. It's not. It doesn't affect me. And just getting some good runs. That's a good stream for me. And it's like,
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. Why just put all these other things in it? And so yeah, I am. I don't know. I do kind of want to unleash again and like be more outrageous and be more aggressive. But I think on Twitch, it's just a bad idea. I don't. I think on Twitch, it's a bad idea. That's like a decent answer. That's like a little watered down, unfortunately, but
That's fine. I don't want to get too deep into the
yeah, I don't want to get too hairy either. I mean,
really.
I was really just trying to I was trying to reset my brand and then update my stream with like who I actually am. Because a lot happened in the past 3 like a lot happened in the past 3 years for me, like a lot. So a lot happened, like more than I can really talk about here. So it's like I'm not who I was in 2021. I'm not even close. Why stream with the same attitude?
Yeah.
Why stream with the same content style? A lot of my viewers left, the political guys, a lot of them left because it's like they don't
Right. That's not what they were there for.
that's what they watched. And I'm like, guys, I'm just not I'm not interested in it. I'm not invested in it. I obviously I'm on one side, people on there. I obviously it's the case, but a lot of people are. A lot of speedrunners are and streamers are, and they just don't talk about it, and you would never know. And it's like what I can defend is League of the Past. I can defend my point. So yeah, I just another one of my rambles, but
All right. Well, it is getting pretty close to my bedtime,
Yeah,
so
shoot.
I am gonna have to wrap things up. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up or talk about before we cut things?
no, I good. I think I rambled on more than I really should have, or more expected to. I appreciate you listening to me. I mean, nobody ever listens to me in the Link to Past community talk about Link to Past. I do appreciate it a lot because I've never had that. I've never had that before. Like literally never.
Interesting.
I really do appreciate that. But then also, if I could give a shout out to the ROM hacking community, I already have kind of more than once, but I really like these guys. They have tons of passion. dedication. They're all talented. It's a growing scene. I really think within 6 months or a year, it's gonna be a lot bigger. There's a lot of stuff coming out, a lot of opportunity. So anybody that speedruns something in the past, even if you don't like me, that's okay. The ROM hacking community is great, and watch out because there's some really good ROM hacks coming out, and I highly recommend speedrunning some of these ROM hacks. Highly recommend it. It's fun, very good. So I big shout out to them. That's about it though.
Awesome. I'll put a link to their Discord or webpage or whatever you want in the description of this.
Okay, sweet.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for again. Thanks. Sorry about the rambling so much. I mean, it's like, sheesh. I appreciate that.